morning, everyone. It's Saturday, which means it's time for yet another Salty Saturday morning. I am your host, the belabored producer of the Salty Nerd Podcast, Matthew Kadish. And with me, as always, is my fantastic panel of nerds, starting with Matt Vader 74. How you doing, buddy?
Honestly, I'm a little bit flummoxed today. I have no idea what's happening. Ethan's here, and I'm freaking out a little bit internally. Ethan, he's like a kind of a personal hero of mine, man, and I'm just kind of freaking out a little bit, and that's all I'm gonna say right now.
Fellas, we're all fat guys with beards here. Let's not
freaking out.
Hey, undue reverence to me. I'm happy to be here with you guys.
You guys should have seen us in the green room before Vader was critiquing Ethan's beard. So,
no, it's great. I love it.
And of course, he's here. He's queer. He is our shield against everything woke. It's Brian from the Popcast. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, sir. I'm actually flummoxed as well because I'm here with my personal hero, Conspiracy Tom.
He's all of our heroes. Conspiracy Tom is filling in for Odin today, and we thank him for filling in last minute. Conspiracy Tom, we noticed that you were on Facebook. What is up with that? We thought that was against your religion.
I'm only on Facebook, and that's about it. Yeah,
but you're too young for Facebook.
Yes. Well, okay. I am deleting my digital persona down to the bare essentials. And just so you know, it takes 3 hours to delete an Instagram. It takes 3 hours, and they won't let you. So don't let me get into the conspiracies on all this stuff. But shrink your digital footprint as much as you can.
Oh, I see. So you posted something, and now you're worried about getting canceled. That's what it is.
No, I'm never worried about getting canceled. I'm worried about getting on a list one day, and that's what bothers me the most.
Bro, you're already on the list. It doesn't matter at this point.
Bro.
Hey.
Mrs. Davis is already here.
I would be a registered anarchist if I didn't think that the government would be annoyed about that. So it is what it is.
Can you register to be an anarchist? That'd be an interesting.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. There's an anarchist. They'll send you literature.
All right. And we have the master of Midnight's Edge himself, Tom Connors Jr. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. I don't know about being the master, but I'm definitely the baiter.
And our special guest, the Godfather of Comicsgate himself, comic book artist pro secrets extraordinaire, Ethan Van Sciver. How you doing?
Great, man. What a wonderful way to spend a Saturday. You know, it's 75 degrees outside, the sun's out, and birds are chirping in the air. Let's all stay inside and talk about comic book bullshit. That sounds like a plan.
Exactly. That's what we do. We're nerds. All right, want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat real quick. Anthony Mark, good morning. I'm sure you're on the beach somewhere. The Astro Nerd Boy, one of our Salty Saturday superstars. Good to see you. Penny, Danny's mom. Mexican Iron Man is here. Mexican Iron Man, stay tuned. There's a chance for you to win something today. Gavin Blackburn, our super chat extraordinaire, or I should say super sticker extraordinaire. The Joker's voice is here. Keely Chow, spam in the chat. No Money G, how you doing, buddy? We also have First Space Lord and Mighty Orbots, Winter Wolf's Den. We got, who else do we have here? We got a lot of people here this morning. Mr. Dongs.
Plural.
Warren Faith is here. Danish cartoonist is here. Who else do we got? That looks to be about it. Sark, Haldeer 6480, Joey's movie blog, Chappie. Thank you all for being here this morning. We really appreciate you tuning in, but we also really appreciate our big superstars, our chatters. So we got Scotty Dubb, who basically outdid himself. He was the first, so he was already in the top spot in terms of donations, but the other day he decided to tip $4.99.99 just to beat himself in the leaderboard. But we have our superstars, Scotty Dubb, Bob Dorsey, and the Astro Nerd Boy. Thank you guys so much for all your support. We really do appreciate it. Then we have our loyalists, who are our most consistent donators. We got Joker Voice and Mexican Iron Man. And our top super thanks, Backyard TARDIS and JT Gunn. And our $100 club, which is Scotty Dubb, Bob Dorsey, and the Astro Nerd Boy. We may have to add Backyard TARDIS on there because he did drop something on us on Tuesday. But our top contributor is Scotty Dubb. We really appreciate the support, man. You are one of the reasons why we keep doing the show. So thank you so much. Just to let you guys know, in celebration of Ethan joining us today, we are going to be doing a new giveaway now that the extra wallet giveaway is over. And this is a one and done. So by the end of this, we will have a winner announced. And that is, we are doing a Cyberfrog giveaway. So if you want a signed copy of a Cyberfrog comic book, all you need to do to join the giveaway is type in hashtag Cyberfrog in the chat, and we will pick a winner at the end of the stream. And let me just show you guys what you're going to be playing for. So we got a dinged or dented, or I should say Cyberfrog Blood and Honey Drained Secret Frog Edition comic book that Ethan has been kind enough to say that he will sign. And basically, we will get your info at the end of the stream, the winner, and send that out to you guys. And in addition to that, we're trying to get 5 new members to sign up today. So if you want to join our members area, you can get access to Vader's epic anti-subway rant. That should be a lot of fun. And also check out in the description, we have a link to our Salty Justice Warrior t-shirt. So if you want to become an SJW and join the Salty Army, nothing says SJW like wearing a Salty Justice Warrior t-shirt.
You realize that SJW stands for something else too that isn't good. I don't know if you realize that.
We're co-opting it. We're co-opting it.
Oh,
trying to make it ours.
Taking it back.
Taking it back. Exactly. All right. So before we get going, Ethan, I just wanted to point out that your contributions to DC Comics are pretty much legendary, particularly Green Lantern. In fact, you came on one of my other live streams on Bad Writing about the Green Lantern movie. A lot of people might not know that, you helped kind of develop the spectrum of Green Lanterns, where it's like reds, yellows, blues, purples. And one of the cool things about Green Lantern are the power rings. So you have the green power ring and the yellow power ring. But I don't know if people know this or not, but you can actually get a white power ring if you are a Green Lantern fan. So I learned this on your appearance on Tim Pool. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, it represents life. The power of life, whereas the black power ring represents death. But all of the colors together, I think, all the rings together, all of those wonderful emotions and motivations combined to become like a white power ring, which is I don't know how we got away with that. By the way, in all honesty, it didn't even occur to me when we came up with that. I didn't think, well, they're going to be calling these white power rings. It didn't occur to me at the time. I was very innocent. And, it went through every level of checkage. Like Jeff Johns was like, yeah, of course, white, absolutely sure. And then all the editors too. And it wasn't until I saw somebody post on eBay, we have a bag of white power rings. And I went, white? Oh.
Oh my God. That is so great.
With every purchase.
Funny.
With every purchase comes a tiki torch. Here's a tiki torch as well.
It's in the also purchase section when they're purchasing that ring. Also purchase tiki torch and MAGA hats.
I mean, it was 2007. I mean, I think that we were slightly more naive, a little more innocent back then.
I mean, it makes sense, Ethan. All the colors combined makes the color white.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's our story, and we're sticking to it. So
I see here on Etsy you can also get a Green Lantern cock ring as well. So
is there a white power cock ring? That's the question.
That's what I'm curious. I'm looking now.
Okay.
It comes in
Send
only
me that link when you
small.
find it.
I
and
think
really
I'd rather
small.
have a black power one.
I need the extra small one.
But the black one comes in the extra large. Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, black rings matter. So guys, before we get started, Ethan, your appearance on
to
Timcast,
such a bad start.
This is
This is
Stop
typical.
it and start over again. I mean, for goodness
It's
sake.
pretty common of this.
You want to know the best
Yeah,
part?
that's
I was thinking of Power Ranger jokes that I was going to tell the whole time, and then it literally just slaps me in the face oh, white power ring.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all the joke you need. That's all the joke you
That's
need.
over.
Ethan, your appearance on Timcast was really awesome. It was great to see you on there. Just out of curiosity, my personal curiosity, how did that happen? How did you get on the show there?
So the show's producer, the person who books guests, I guess asked me to come on the show during the heyday of like early Comicsgate 2018, and I didn't know who she was. I was busy. I was preoccupied being canceled and having my life destroyed. So I didn't want to necessarily go beyond somebody else's show at the time to bring more attention to myself. And I ignored that message. But she was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, "Oh yeah, you should have her on Timcast." And she said, "Well, when are you finally going to come on Timcast?" And I was like, "Right now. What are you talking about? This second." I'm just waiting to be invited. So anyway, she sent me a message, and I noticed that she had contacted me 4 years ago asking me, and I never responded to her. So they were so nice over there. They were so very, very nice. And I had a great time. Hoping to go back.
What was the compound like? Was it kind of cool going there? And...
Yeah, like I mean, it looks like a farm in the middle of the Blair Witch Project. Like they are located where the Blair Witch Project was filmed. That's where they are, and they have this enormous farm with like a chicken ranch in the backyard, a chicken coop. I think Tim's got his house up front, and then there's this big, massive like. It looks like it was built in the 1920s. Massive house with a big front porch where they all sit there and picnic. And then inside looks like the ultimate college frat. I mean, it is just like video games, pool tables, everything. Downstairs in the basement is like a basketball court. And then, skate ramps. He built like skate ramps down there. Wow. And then the top floors in the house, it looks like a regular house from the outside. The top floors are all like the studios. Really, they have a lot of fun there, and they'll give you free beer right out of their fridge. So that's good too.
Nice the Tim Pool compound. Is that what it is?
Yeah, and they're building another one. I think he's in the process of building a new studio now. So they're going to sell that one, or I don't actually know what they're going to do, but they're building a brand new studio. From scratch, which is going to be just lit. I'm sure it's going to be beautiful.
Nice. All right. Before we get going, just want to call out some super chats here. So for Mexican Iron Man for $10, even though I didn't win a wallet because of Vader, my support and attendance remains steadfast. Hail to you all for what is sure to be another excellent podcast.
Hail,
Thank
Mikey.
you, Mexican Iron Man. Yes. Hail, Mikey. All right. From the Joker's Voice for $5. Hail S&P and EVS. Can't stay off to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, matinee, of course. Have a great show and hashtag keep talking. And of course, our super sticker extraordinaire, Gavin Blackburn, for $1.99. I should say £1.99, I guess. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. Really appreciate it. But enough housekeeping. Let's get into our topic. So the first topic that we're going to talk about is Jamie Foxx and this mystery illness of his. Basically, the story here is that Jamie Foxx was shooting a movie and had to be rushed to the hospital for some reason. And he's been in the hospital for months, and nobody knows what the hell is going on. Well, I should say weeks. Nobody knows what the hell is going on with him. There's a lot of speculation going on out there about what's actually wrong. The family's been very kind of tight-lipped. They just said it's a medical emergency. And by the way, the links to all the stuff that we talk about is in the description. But this has led to a lot of conspiracy theories going around the internet. So I want to throw this to Conspiracy Tom first off. Tom, what do you think is afflicting Jamie Foxx here?
Well, okay. Do you really want me to get into this, or do you just want me to like
60 seconds, Tom? 60 seconds.
I got like an elevator.
Try not to get us banned.
A name where we know which Tom we're talking about, because I almost answered.
I hope we don't all get canceled by this 1 60-second statement.
Yeah, I hope so either. Okay, so it's one of three things, right? Either it is a vaccine-related illness that he's going through, right? And Hollywood refuses to comment on it, and since he's under contract with Hollywood, he's not allowed to say anything. Two, he's becoming Jamie Foxx, no longer Jamie Foxx, but now he's going to be Jamie Foxx going forward. If you remember, Shanae is exactly how he got his start. So he's going back to Shanae. Or three. It's an Illuminati exercise where he had to almost kill himself to gain the next level of superstardom, because as we know, Jamie Foxx is a superstar in like 5 different categories. So he had to do something ultra extreme to get himself to the next level of ascension. This
Okay.
guy's
Pretty good.
That's
Pretty
right.
good.
Thank you. Ethan, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is a legitimate medical emergency, or is it vaccine related? What do you think?
I think that he didn't like his sunken chest, and so he's putting metal bars in there. I think that's what it is personally.
he's gonna come back looking like Jax from Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
The
No,
blaster arm.
You hate to speculate about what somebody's health emergencies are. You don't want to do that. The other thing that happens is they passed away suddenly, and then you go, well, how, and the family's keeping it secret, and then your mind goes to what you think actually happened there. Probably shouldn't keep it a secret, because if it's a medical emergency and they're in the hospital and they don't want to tell me what it is, I immediately think AIDS, HIV, monkeypox. I could my mind could go to like any one of those things that's super embarrassing that nobody wants to know. And the truth of the matter is, Jamie Foxx is such a great actor and such a good guy. He's I watch Sesame Street with my daughter. He's on Sesame Street all the time. His performances are really sweet. Like it's good of him to do that, like for the kids. I wish him well. I hope it's nothing serious, and I certainly hope he isn't transitioning into womanhood.
That's a possibility.
Tom Connors. So this happened in the middle of shooting a movie that he was working on, and reports are saying that he's been out for so long that they're trying to proceed with the movie with body doubles and kind of like shooting around
So it's
him.
Goldfinger?
It could be. But what do you think is going to happen to this movie he's working on if he doesn't get out of the hospital soon?
Clearly, if he doesn't get out of they can't. If it's not done enough, they can't release it. I mean, that is worse taste than trying to finish Rust. Let's be real here. I don't know what's going on with him. I can only speculate like you guys. Hopefully he doesn't die suddenly or anything like that, let's say. But yeah, no, I don't know. I can't imagine they would finish it without him. It would be very bad juju, I guess.
They finished The Crow without Brandon Lee. That is,
yeah, but that was like 2 or 3 shots that needed to be finished, and yeah,
I think one shot finished Brandon Lee, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
Yeah.
where's the sound effects for that? There we go.
There you go.
I'm slow today here.
Brian from the Popcast. So
Set him
people
up and he
close
knocks him
to
down.
the family have been saying that it's some type of like blood clot in the brain that assaulted Jamie Kennedy. We don't know for sure, but people are saying that if he doesn't recover in time, that they may start using a deep fake in the movie that he was working on in order to
You mean
finish it.
Jamie Foxx, right? Or did you just said Jamie Kennedy?
I'm sorry, Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jamie Kennedy. If a blood clot hits his brain, that's okay. I mean, that's all right. Jamie
Yeah,
Foxx,
you-
we can't spare. We can't spare
Yeah,
him.
you wouldn't notice a difference with Jamie Kennedy.
No.
Yeah.
Brian, what's your take on that?
You know what? I don't want to channel my inner conspiracy Tom right now, but I find it very terrifying, problematic. I don't know what the right word is. That the amount of like clot-based deaths and hospitalization has gone up. Like I think the last stat I saw was 600% in the last 2 years. I don't understand how people don't see that stat and be concerned about it. Like that's a really high increase of people dying of blood clots. And my uncle Ted actually died of a blood clot. He was 62 years old, healthy dude. He was like 6'5". He was tall, but he was like fit. And he was completely fine. And then he was feeling sick. This is last year. He was feeling sick and he fell down. They called the doc, and within like an hour, he passed away. It was so instant, and it had me going like, dude, how do you? And I'm like Googling, how do you prevent blood clots? Let's find blood clots. How do you find that before it's a problem? Because he died so quickly of it, and it's happening a lot. And I don't know if it's related to what, or if it's something we're eating, or if it's environmental, or if it's related to COVID in some way. I don't know. but it is really scary.
Do that again, Tom.
It's scary that it's happening so often, right? Like it's gone up such a high percentage, and we're talking about like some politician in some state that is fighting with Disney, but we should be concerned about the 83% increase in blood clot related deaths and illnesses. That's an insane number.
Yeah, and a lot of these people that died suddenly are like athletes and stuff like that. Matt Vader, 74.
Right.
What's your take on
I'm
this?
280 pounds, and I'm like, I'm
It
not
was
healthy
nice
at
knowing
all.
you guys, just so you know. You had a great channel.
Thank you.
It's really
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all canceled now. My take, I think Alec Baldwin probably came to the set for a visit,
Oh,
and Jamie Foxx was showing him stuff in the prop room, and he had a little accident.
Oh my god.
So that's
I
what I'm
can't believe
thinking.
that would happen twice. You think you'd
Well,
learn
that's why
a
they-
lesson
well,
with
that's why
that.
they're
how can
keeping
the
it-
same thing happened to the same guy twice. But
Yeah, that's why they're keeping it on the down low, because they don't want nobody to know what's going on.
I can believe it would happen.
Wait, which I got to read this super chat from Fluffy Panda. For
Oh, God.
$5. Alec Baldwin showed up to set, so Jamie faked an illness to save his life. Can't blame him. Pew pew.
Fluffy and me, we come from the same mold, I guess. That's funny. I didn't even see that. Good stuff.
All right, anything else you want to say on this, Vader?
I'd say
Nope.
shoot me once, shame on Alec Baldwin. Shoot me
I,
twice,
I,
shame on
I
me.
do like Jamie Foxx. I hope he gets better. He's a talented guy. So
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. No one's reporting on this. Like he's been in the hospital for like what 3-4 weeks, something like that,
Yeah.
and it's like media silence.
And that's
they're
what's
like,
scary, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I don't want to make. I'm not trying to channel Tom right now, but in the past, we talk about everything that happens to a celebrity. Oh, they stubbed their toe. It's on Instagram. But Jamie Foxx is in. I mean, I don't know why it's not in the news. Why?
Yeah.
So, and now we know how media is so
Well, listen,
complicit in.
it's not
repeating
in the
narrative.
news. It's not in the news because everybody knows what's causing blood clot issues right now. That's
Yeah.
why it's not in the news. It's not something that,
Hey, do you know who pays for the news?
yeah, big pharma.
Wait, okay.
Yeah.
Big pharma.
Big
So-
pharma.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
another
I thought you were
thing.
going to say something
this
that
episode
rhymed
is
with
brought
the
to you
news.
by
I was
Pfizer.
gonna be like, I got to get off of this.
You're right, though. You're right.
Ethan,
Who's
let's
paying
hang
for
out,
the
buddies.
news?
Conspiracy
Ethan-
Tom.
Ethan
Give me a
gets
break.
it.
Ethan was like, I thought I was uncancelable again. And here we are.
I thought I was on a night. I didn't know I was. You guys were that crazy. All right, so
Yeah.
they are talking
right.
about it though. They're talking about what's going on with Jamie Foxx. It's just they're keeping what exactly is wrong private,
Mhm.
and I don't know why. I mean, maybe for his own. My guess is honestly, it's probably something like, look, they want to preserve his dignity. They don't want people to know
Maybe.
what happened. He's probably like Jamie Foxx is the kind of guy. He's always been kind of braggadocious, and he might be the kind of guy who says, I don't want people to know what felled me. You know what I mean? What brought me down. Could be that.
Jeremy Renner got thrown into a snowplow for not going along with Disney authoritative verdicts.
That's not
right?
true. He was trying to save his nephew. He did
I
an
knew it.
admirable thing.
Was that confirmed that he got thrown into a
No,
snowplow?
it
Thrown
wasn't.
in.
I knew
No,
it.
he
It
wasn't.
was Mickey and Donald. I
No,
saw
it was
it.
like he
No,
and
man.
I
he
saw
put
video.
himself in front of the snowplow and the nephew.
No.
okay?
There was the smoking man from Cincinnati that came over there and threw him in front of the snowplow. So
I'm just saying, Jeremy
Yeah.
Renner did a good thing. Okay, we shouldn't joke about too much about Jeremy Renner.
All right, guys.
QAnon shaman gets released from prison. Jamie Foxx goes right to the hospital. I'm just saying.
Okay.
He really
All right,
gets
guys.
released. That's funny.
Real quick, want to remind everyone that if you want to join the Cyberfrog autograph comic giveaway, just type in hashtag Cyberfrog in the chat and you'll be instantly entered to win. And we will be doing the drawing at the end of this show. So guys, let's get to some comic book stuff, whether it be movies
I thought we
or actual
were.
comics. So let's talk about the state of Marvel. It's been no secret that basically Marvel has been kind of a mess lately, and with the release of Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3, they're
Hey, hold
back
on,
in the
Matt,
news.
Hold on. Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're a writer and a wordsmith, and you're gonna say kind of a mess. That's what you're gonna go with.
You should say it's on
Yes.
more life support than Jamie Foxx.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
on.
Now we're talking.
Too much.
Too soon.
You know what? You need
Okay.
to, if you haven't joined this channel's Patreon, you should consider it because we won't have a channel soon. That's
Well, I figured I'd just do my part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So basically, Marvel Phase 4 was an unmitigated disaster. It was thrown for a loop because of COVID and never quite recovered. And Marvel even came out and said that they were going to be like kind of stepping back and kind of rejiggering phase 5. But so far, Phase 5 has been very disappointing as well. And the comics themselves that a lot of this stuff is based on haven't been performing well at all. So I just kind of want to throw it to Ethan. Ethan, what the hell's going on with Marvel? Why can't they get their shit together?
Same thing that happened to Mr. Beast. Weird women came in and basically screwed up the whole operation. And what are you supposed to do about that?
you guys are
strange women. Hashtag strange women.
Hey, Ethan, what live, man? Look at coffee, bro. You're saying all the things that I'm thinking.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I don't watch this stuff. I can't watch Marvel movies anymore. They're awful. You know, I mean, what do you have left? I mean, you're at the bitter dregs, you know, post the Bronze Age. You know what I mean? You're doing like movies, sequels to like Black Panther, you know, and things like that. You're doing Ms. Marvel. What do you expect? Like nobody ever had time to connect with that. Nope. It's ridiculous. Nobody connected to that. Nobody feels any kind of way about Captain Marvel or Ms. Marvel, except for activists, and they're not going to these movies. They just want them to exist. So it's inevitable that once we get to the SJW stuff, SJW era of Marvel, and we try to put that on celluloid, it isn't going to work out. And She-Hulk was just a mean joke on the fans, and it could have been good. She-Hulk, imagine if She-Hulk was like The Practice. Remember that show, The Practice, from the 90s?
Yeah.
No, none of you guys do. You're all too young.
I love that show.
I do. I used to watch it all the time.
I like the spin-off more than the original.
David
I
E.
like
Kelly,
Legal.
man.
David E. Kelly was great. Now, imagine if The Practice took its audience and its premise seriously, and it was like She-Hulk is a defense attorney, and she has to defend some scumbag like Rhino or the Juggernaut for, you know, this or that, some crime that he didn't commit, or maybe he did, I don't know. And then, you know, it really is like a nice superhero murder mystery court procedural where we get witnesses from like other superheroes that have to take the stand. That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. And instead, you hired some dimwit. And by the way, that was what the show was supposed to be. But you hired some dummy, some bimbo who doesn't know anything about any of that and has no ability to write that kind of a thing, and comes in and just decides instead, I'm going to flat out insult the audience and the audience that's already disgruntled. And I mean, when you do that, it's like people just go, oh, it's She-Hulk, big deal. It poisons the brand. It poisons the entire brand. People watch that and they kind of go, I don't know if I want to see She-Hulk. I don't know if I want to see this gigantic Herman Munster looking woman twerking. I don't know if I want to see that and call that Marvel superheroes. And they just kind of walk away and they back away and they lose trust. You know, the Eternals is a movie. How do you choose to make the Eternals as a movie when there's still Power Pack? I mean, there are so many other levels that you could sink to before you have to land on the Eternals.
That's so true.
So
I read a shitload of comic books in my life, and I'm not even familiar with the Eternals. Like, it's not even like it's nothing I even know about. It's such a weird concept.
The Eternals is basically the MCU getting. Who's familiar with the movie Stop or My Mom Will Shoot?
I mean, I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the story behind that movie is Arnold Schwarzenegger tricked Sylvester Stallone into doing it. It was like a joke. He said he claimed to be interested in it when he really wasn't, just to see if Sly would do it, and Sly did it. The Eternals is MCU's answer to Ava DuVernay's when she was going to do the whatchamacallit over at
The
DC.
New Gods.
The New Gods. That's what that was. They heard they were going to do that, so they're like, oh, well, we'll do the Eternals. Just like Spider-Man No Way Home was a response to Michael Keaton coming back, even though Flash is finally going to be coming out and getting called, you know, the ripoff. That was actually the impetus for them wanting to do that.
I want to let Ethan finish his thought real quick.
Sorry.
No, I don't. Listen, I finished my thoughts a long time ago on this subject. I really, I mean, it's all, the problem is that Stan Lee was great. And period. That's what it is. You want to know what the problem with Star Wars is? George Lucas was great. You want to know what the problem with Disney is? Walt Disney was great.
Yeah.
And so on. What's wrong with Lord of the Rings? J.R.R. Tolkien was great. And these people are once in a lifetime talents that you can't just pick up where they left off once they die. George Lucas is still here, but I'm sure once he sees the next span of Disney Star Wars, he's going to kick it too. You can't just pick up where these people drop off and then hire some shitheads from Tumblr. Excuse my language, Matt. I'm sorry about that. You can't just hire these awful like fake creators who hate the fans and only are kind of super interested in the product but aren't really creative people themselves, and then just think it's going to continue. It isn't. You're not understanding. Like Stan Lee was great, and none of these other people are. None of the other stuff that they're putting on film without his influence, without his spirit, is going to connect with people the same way. And that's the sad truth about all this.
So I want to toss it to Tom Connors. Marvel used to be kind of like the pinnacle of what Hollywood could achieve, right? Like they were like the industry standard for like long form multi movie storytelling. What the hell happened to them, man? What do you think happened to them?
Woke. Mainly. That's the big thing. Disney was the second thing. Because if they would have stuck with Paramount, had Paramount ponied up the money at the time to keep Marvel, I think they would have been even more successful today than they ended up being. Because if you look at the trajectory they were on during that phase before Disney got involved, that's the phase that got everybody hyped up about this whole idea that you can have a shared universe. And then post Avengers.
What part do you think Victoria Alonso played in the downfall of this
She came
franchise?
in late. I mean, she's always been there, but she didn't get more power until later on, it seems like. Because if you look at a lot of the older films, her name isn't anywhere on them. It isn't until in more recent years that her name has been more prominent. And I didn't even notice her name at all in the recent Guardians 3 movie, to be honest with you. So I'm not sure how much she had to do with that either. But that seemingly is when things kind of took a turn towards the MCU, as we like to call it. Because she's a big proponent. I mean, she's not the only one. Again, getting rid of her is not going to get rid of the problem. But I think Kevin Feige is starting to realize there is a problem. It's the big, well-known secret in Hollywood now that Marvel is in trouble. And he thinks the answer is to bring in more experienced directors and writers, which isn't wrong. But that also means you got to get rid of all the messaging. Why did Spider-Man No Way Home work, and why is Guardians of the Galaxy working? I think mainly because it's the only two films that they haven't shoved a truckload of messaging into, whether it's, trans rights or, a race thing, whatever it is. There's none of those things present in those two films that I mentioned. But the rest of the movies surrounding that, the last dozen films, have all been about that.
Mm-hmm. Brian, you're kind of our resident DC movie expert, other than Ethan. How do you think Marvel is comparing to DC and how they're like rolling out, the next phases of their plans?
Well, I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy and the third volume, and I gotta say, James Gunn is a brilliant creative. He is able to somehow check boxes without making it so blatant and obtrusive that people are turned off. And I think that's because he tells a really good story on top of the checking boxes. So it's very genuinely loved by all parties, regardless of affiliation. He is the head of DC. I believe that and I've said this before, I do believe that his fingerprints on DC is going to allow DC to not only compete with Marvel, but completely outpace Marvel, considering Marvel's basket or stable or whatever of creatives is just sort of bankrupt right now. To the point where you have someone like Brie Larson, who is the queen of the woke, anti-woke YouTube. I'm pretty sure Jeremy from the Quartering bought a house because of his videos on her. And she's leaving Marvel. She's unhappy with the creative position at Marvel right now. So she's not going to be participating in Marvel films after this last movie of hers. It's funny because the Miss Marvel brand will go forward without her, according to Disney, which is wild. So you have Disney creatively bankrupt. Their stable of creatives are just, at the very least, lackluster, perhaps even like in a sinister sense, checking boxes over story, and they're losing all their creatives to DC right now. Even when James Gunn took over DC, you have someone who was at the top of his game when it comes to this style of storytelling, and the people that are the actors that are also in these movies that love him, that are part of his crew, and that's how James Gunn works. He often takes people from past projects and puts them in new projects. I mean, we're going to see actors from Marvel moving over to DC. So DC is in a perfect position to take over whatever's left of the comic book market and leave Marvel in its dust. And I, for one, not just because I'm a DC fan, because I do love DC more than Marvel, not because of that, but because of the decisions that Disney has made over the last 5 years, I revel in DC's inevitable victory. I do.
So Matt Vader 74, what the hell's going on over at Marvel? What do you think is going to happen?
Boy, that's quite the question to ask me after following these four gentlemen. I don't know, man. They're just woke. It's a bunch of crap. They have a bunch of morally and spiritually bankrupt creators over there who don't know how to do anything but talk about their agenda nonsense. And it really sucks. It's sad because it reflects in their product. Nobody wants to buy that stuff. Nobody wants to watch that stuff. Make good products, make things that things that people want to see and enjoy. Give us simple stories about heroes and good versus evil and that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be complicated. I think that's the one thing I've learned growing up, reading these stories and watching these shows. People don't need complicated stories about whatever politics that you're trying to espouse through your things. Keep them simple. Good versus evil. It's not hard. I don't think it's hard. I mean, it might be hard. I've never created a comic book or anything like Ethan has or anything like that. But I think the simpler you keep your stories, probably the better. I don't know. Is that you think is that all right? I don't know. It just, all of this nonsense that's out there takes away from the enjoyment of it all. And it makes me not want to buy tickets or go to the comic. I haven't been to the comic book shop in years because it's just a bunch of trash. So, I don't know. Yeah,
comics are in a pretty bad state right now. But speaking of bad states, I want to throw this to Conspiracy Tom. What do you like? What part do you think BlackRock and ESG plays in with like the downfall of comic book movies so far?
Well, okay, so my idea is like, okay, so it's like we were saying earlier, is the Marvel Cinematic Universe became this juggernaut, right? And then Disney had no creatives. They weren't creating anything good. And so they purchased Star Wars and they purchased Marvel, right? Okay, so now they have these intellectual properties. Now what do they do with them? So we'll call it a pepperoni pizza, right? So Marvel used to be a pepperoni pizza, and most people like a pepperoni pizza. And now they want to add green peppers and broccoli and tofu to our pizza. There's still pepperoni on it, but they just want to keep adding things to try to attract more people. And sometimes when you add too many ingredients, kind of like what Vader's saying, is when you start adding too many ingredients to the pot, you're not necessarily making it better. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it needs a tablespoon of salt. Let's put 7 tablespoons of salt in there. It'll surely be better. So I think that's the bigger problem, is that there's no one in charge, or if they are in charge, to Ethan's point, they don't know what they're doing. They have no background on this. They have no direction, and they just keep throwing more and more and more at us, and it just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning, and eventually it's going to throw up. And I think that's where we're at. We're at the throw up phase. Everything's gross. They're trying to attract people because it's I think I said this before. It's like, if if they started off with 1 million people as their fan base, right? And they say, okay, we can lose 40% of that original fan base if we can add this other group in. So I just think that they're trying too hard. There was a good formula, there was good actors, there was good stories, and now it's just a bunch of mess. It's all girls for some reason. And I don't care if girls can kick everybody's ass, but don't bring Brie Larson in and have her be stronger than Thanos in the last episode. It's just stupid.
Yeah,
and
and
that's where we're going.
Her first showing, and she's beating up Thanos. You're like, yo, 12 movies of build up here, and all of a sudden this random person. It doesn't even make sense for the story. Not
Exactly.
Gender aside, the character was obviously just shoved in there at the last second
He
to
whooped
glean as
Thor's
much
ass,
money as possible.
Thor's ass and the Hulk beat the shit out of both of them. And this little girl shows up, destroys his entire ship in 5 seconds. He headbutts her, and she winks at him. And you're just like, this is my movie now.
What happened? Yeah.
All right, guys.
I thought for a minute she was gonna be the one that defeated Thanos, and I was gonna leave that theater before them. I was like, you know what? All right, do it. I dare you. I'll leave. I'll leave.
All right, guys, real quick before we move on to the next topic, we got a super chat from Dennis Wright, $4.99. Is there a dog and a naked woman in the artwork behind Conspiracy Tom?
Oh,
No
yeah.
judgment.
Do we want to talk? Yeah, it's actually great. Yeah. This is my dog. This is me in the future, hopefully, just drunk. And then this is my naked girl playing the piano for me in the back. This is like,
so it's a wish painting. Okay.
it's like a vision board. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
It's like a vision board. This is where I want to be.
Got it. And then from our salty Saturday superstar, the Astronaut Boy, $5. Writer's strike. Whatever will we do without more rubbish from Marvel and the like? Oh yeah, watch YouTube, and in my case, my DVD/Blu-ray collection. We're actually going to talk a little bit about the writer's strike in a bit. But before we do that, we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite talk show host, Whoopi Goldberg, who is apparently making a comic book. And Ethan, you recently did a video about this, but just want to showcase this for people who don't know. Whoopi Goldberg is co-writing a new comic book about a superhero who gets superpowers through menopause. And it's basically a self-insert of Whoopi Goldberg as the comic book superhero.
Can I interrupt for 2 seconds to say I was going to literally make a joke about that's what the comic book was. I didn't realize that's
actually what the comic book is.
Yep.
Ethan, can you give us a breakdown on this? Because you did a great video about it, which is linked in the description. But I just want to hear your thoughts.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg, of course, decided to do a self-insert comic. That's all that women know how to do, and she's trying to gaslight her audience and present herself as much younger than she is, as having just gone through menopause, when it probably happened 30 years ago for Whoopi. She is old. She has gained 400 pounds. She's Trump deranged like nobody I've ever seen on TV. And she's decided to make a comic book called The Change, in which the least appealing superhero, an enormously fat African-American grandmother, gets the ability to create blue smoke from her hand because she's lost feeling down there. So I don't or whatever egg manufacturing. What goes on? It's like magic down there in vaginas. I don't really.
What goes on?
Well, as long as it's not
No
red
one knows.
smoke.
No one knows.
No, it's blue smoke. So anyway,
Ted Danson's been there, guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
see,
think he's
many times,
still in there. I think he fell in.
Yeah,
Never
that's where
came
he's
out
been
again.
all these years.
that's why he has white hair.
Yeah, for real. It was like seeing the clown from It. Hair goes all white. So very, very strange. I don't know. And listen, I understand how awesome it must be to have one of the ladies from the drag
View.
queen story hour that is The View call you up and say, I want to do a comic book with you. I understand, but at some point, like, people like Michael Richardson at Dark Horse need to stop being so starstruck and just saying yes to everything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to say yes, queen, to every dumbass who wants to do a comic book about themselves just because they're bored and they need a little bit of an ego boost. Just say no thanks, Whoopi. No thanks. And I would say that. I'd say no thanks, and then I'd slam the phone down on the table like J. Jonah Jameson. Just, no thank you. Like that. But no, anyway, the book's coming out. Dark Horse It's dark times for Dark Horse. It really is bleak. And I think, I think this portends the end of the entire comic book industry. I think this is this right here. You guys aren't seeing this coming, but I think Whoopi Goldberg getting a comic book about a menopausal grandmom with superpowers, I think that seriously is going to suck the rest of the comic book industry into a pinhole vacuum, pinhole-sized vacuum. And you know who's going to be the last to go, by the way? Heather Antos. She's going to be the very last, like hanging on the edge, you know, just getting sucked into that pinhole at the very end, last survivor.
Ethan, are you suggesting that all of the comic books are converging into one mega point, and then we're going to get a comic book Big Bang in the next couple of years, and we'll have a resurgence?
I would like that. That sounds good.
That'd be pretty good.
Nice.
I was saying something way more negative, but I like your positive spin on my negativity.
I want to know if she has a partner in crime fighting based on Joy Behar. I think that would be interesting, right?
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That is what hell is. We are in hell right now.
That is what hell is.
You've got real creative people that are afraid to actually do good comic books because they have to represent and they have to. So, you know, you've got people who are like silenced and stifled and aren't doing nobody's creating anything outside of Comicsgate. Nobody's actually creating anything new or good for the mainstream. It's a lot of just garbage. A lot of people just hanging on to dear life to like, what's left of Batman? What's left of Spider-Man? What can I get my hooks into? And you know, it's like the X-Men, they've turned over to I don't know, your qualifications, you have to be lesbian, brown, and queer in order to get to do you know, lesbian and queer. What is queer anyway? What does that mean? Is it
Brian, do you want to chime in?
Let me explain.
No, how about you just show us real quick, Brian?
No,
Now you really want to get shut down.
I mean, that's what it is. You're not going to have, you know, in the face of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, when that is a primary motivation. That's another, you know, that's wokeness. When that's a primary motivating factor for creating comics, you're creating propaganda. You know your project is going to do better if you can say it includes this little bit of wokeness. It really, we're in a clown world where Whoopi Goldberg can say, I want to do a premenopausal or a menopausal grandmother with superpowers, and everybody just goes, great, let's do it. Who cares?
Genius.
Sounds like a plan.
Everybody's giving up.
Brian, I want to know, who does Dark Horse think the audience for this comic book is? Like, if I was a teenage boy collecting comics right now, that'd be the last thing on my list of something I'd want to buy. Like, who's the audience for something like that?
There's your fallacy right there, Matt. There are no teenage boys buying comics anymore.
Well, but that's the thing though, right? Whenever you create something, so like that's our job. We create videos or we create T-shirts or mouse pads or whatever. That's what we sell. We sell either ourselves or a video or merch. We have to ask yourself, when you trade it, you go, who wants to buy this? So the last thing I made was the Stargate Legacy shirt that's selling. And I said, who wants to buy this? Well, every single person that's ever watched one of our videos. So there's at least 150,000 people that would at least consider buying this if they saw it. Okay. I as a small business, all right, that's something that worthy of creating. On the flip side of that, I create something called, let's say, a Whoopi Goldberg comic book about a superhero. Who wants to buy that? Well, the answer is no one. No one wants to buy that. So a business should ask the question, is there a market for this? If there isn't a market, you shouldn't buy it. Are there a lot of Whoopi fans? Well, maybe there's Whoopi fans. However, is there crossover between Whoopi fans and comic book readers?
What is the Venn diagram of Whoopi Goldberg fans
Right.
and comic books? It's like this. Two
Do
circles.
they even touch?
With like,
Yeah, they're pretty far away, right? So it's a bad idea. Like, yeah, there's some crossover. If there's crossover, great. But there's no crossover. There's
what is
literally
the
no reason to do
crossover
this.
between Whoopi Goldberg fans, and menopausal women that are grandmothers? It's like two circles on top of each other.
Yeah, it's just a full moon, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't. So why would they do this? So there might be a political reason to do it, as in like not political like right versus left, but more like maybe they want to keep her around. They want to keep her happy. Maybe the parent company of this company also runs something to do with The View. There might be other internal reasons for this purpose. It's not to actually make a comic book. It's more likely just to appease Whoopi, and the business behind it in some way is getting something, from appeasing her. That's probably what it is.
Tom Connors, what's your take on this? Why do you think anyone would ever buy a Whoopi Goldberg comic book? Like, do you think the viewership of The View, these suburban housewives who watch that show are going to go out and buy this comic book?
No, it's not even like, look, read The Room, right? I mean, Oprah Winfrey was known for, she'd recommend a book and it would instantly become a bestseller. Now, if Whoopi was writing a book about menopause, there is an audience for that, right? She has a fan base of sorts. There are women that are roughly her same age to where they would probably find, something to relate to in that book. Whoopi Goldberg's a very well-known person, whether you're, on her side of politics or not. That's a book that I think could appeal to a lot of women. Now you put comic in front of book. Fuck no. Who the hell is going to want to read that crap?
Nobody. Turn on your camera. What are you doing? Why are you hiding?
Because this is a face for radio, man.
Plus,
I look too much like Matt Vader, and I don't want people confused.
No, you don't look anything like me. You're much better looking than me.
Bring the puppet back.
The real reason is he's worried that I'm going to be too excited when he comes on stream.
Do you think this is Baywatch? What do you mean a face for radio? No, we all have faces for radio, but it's our personalities.
The new face for YouTube is us. Welcome.
Yeah,
I'm not as good looking of a man as Ethan is, so I can't.
Well, thanks, Tom.
Or conspiracy Tom, for that matter.
Yeah, do you think? I got a question. Do you think Whoopi is maybe angling herself to get an appearance as her character in the sequel to the upcoming Thunder Force movie?
Oh, let's never talk about Thunder Force ever.
I mean,
let's throw that to conspiracy Tom.
If they can make Thunder Force, they can make a Whoopi Goldberg comic book, right? I mean, somebody went to the theater and watched that.
So that's actually a good question, Vader. So conspiracy Tom, is this Whoopi Goldberg's like opening salvo to basically get her own superhero movie?
You know what? When Matt Vader said it, at least he's still going by Matt Vader as far as I know.
For a little bit longer.
You know what? That actually makes sense because I saw Thunder Force. I watched it from the beginning to the end, and I don't know why they made that, and I don't know who they made that for either. But I feel like they've paid Whoopi Goldberg a lot of money to say a lot of things that she might not exactly agree with over the past 5 years, and this is kind of payback. They're like, okay, what do you want? We're going to have you say a bunch of insane things that don't make any sense to anybody who can think for more than 3 seconds, right? What do we need to give you? And she goes, I want to be a superhero, baby. And they were like, ooh, that's not going to play. And they worked it out over a couple of years. And this is the best she's going to get. And she's going to run with it. If we called it a graphic novel, would it be better? I don't know. But if they made Thunder Force, they can do this. That's really what it comes down to, and that's sad to even think about.
Can I ask Tom Connors what he thinks Whoopi Goldberg smells like?
Ted Danson,
the color purple.
The color purple, yes.
I understand she got her name. I mean, her name is not Whoopi, it's Karen Johnson or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
She got her name Whoopi because as a stand-up comedian, she had terrible gas. This is true. You can look it up. And she would fart before she'd go out on stage all the time. No. For real. And they said, oh, you're so funny. You're like a human whoopee cushion. And she's like, my name's Whoopi. And then the Goldberg part was her parents were like, you're never going to make it in Hollywood because you ain't a Jew. And so she was like, I swear to God, this is true. Look it up.
Yeah, that part is totally true.
They're both true. They're both true. Yeah. So, her name is farting, I guess, like fake Jewish woman. And that is where she comes from. The fact that she still calls herself Whoopi Goldberg after in 2023 and nobody says, you want to do that? Seriously, you want to rethink your name? And she doesn't do it, is bizarre to me. Absolutely bizarre. But imagine, Tom, there's nothing that's changed for the better in her intestinal tract, okay? She's still farting every single day. She hasn't taken Beano. There's nothing different about her. Beano. She's still farting everywhere that she goes on The View, Tom. What do you think she smells like? She smells like a garbage strike in the city. And you
Didn't
know
they-
that's true.
Didn't they remove her from the view anyway? But no, and that's the thing with her size and age now. I got to imagine those Whoopies are deadly. Like,
And she weighs 450 pounds. And Brian, the podcast, was like, they just want to keep her around. She's staying around, Brian. She's going to be around for a long time. She ain't doing no workout.
Good point. Yeah, she can't actually physically leave the building. That's the problem.
When she sits around the view, she sits around
Sits
the
around
view.
the view, yeah.
Sits around the
Gotcha.
view.
maybe that's why
That
they
was
got
a
rid
low-
of
that
her.
was
She
a
takes
pretty
up like the
low-hanging
space
view
of
there,
3
Tom.
other women.
So all of our salty justice warriors out there know that Whoopi Goldberg is Matt Vader 74's favorite actress of all time. He sees her in everything. He wants her in everything. She's like the older version of Zendaya for him.
Oh, you
And,
need to stop.
Matt Vader, I would like to know, have you already pre-ordered your version of this comic? And can you
No.
not wait to read Whoopi Goldberg's?
No,
menopause
I'm gonna go
story?
wait. I'm gonna wait till I can go to the comic book shop and buy it, and I see it on the rack with like 50 copies of it behind it because nobody is actually buying it.
Well,
Well,
what if there's like
every
12,
other
like
comic
12
book
variant
comic book
covers, and
Yeah.
there's maybe like a foil version of the cover?
No, I'll save my money
Foil.
for the next Cyber Frog project. Okay, thanks. So
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Well, what is your superpower if you're going through menopause? I got to imagine what she can find bingo.
bitchiness.
She can find
bitchiness.
bingo.
Bitchiness.
Nights,
I'm
fast-
assuming it's mood control.
I think it's like it's like Omega Red. Just all the men around her, just all their energy and will to live just gets sucked out.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was waiting for the day that Whoopi Goldberg just finally come out and said, "Look, y'all, I'm lesbian. All right, it's no surprise to anybody."
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
I want to apologize
mean-
to our chat. There are certain people in chat saying that they're trying to eat right now, and all this Whoopi Goldberg talk is churning their stomach.
Listen, if you're trying to eat, all you gotta do is think about what Whoopi smells like. And
Oh, that is awesome.
All
You know,
right,
I
real
didn't
quick.
think I didn't think I could visualize a smell, but I'm visualizing a smell, and it's
moldy green fungus cheese. I think
All
that's,
right.
that's probably what.
Real quick, want to remind everyone that if you want to be entered for the free autographed Cyberfrog comic book, just type in #Cyberfrog in the chat. You'll be instantly put into the drawing at the end of the stream. And real quick, we have a super chat from Backyard TARDIS for $10. Speaking of comics, wanted to give a shout out to the real Sean Crummell and his comic Smacked in the Head.
Nice.
That's Nick always looking out for the little guy over there. All right, so our next topic is one that's really, really interesting. And this was one that Matt Vader 74 specifically wanted to talk about with Ethan on the stream. And that is, why do boys and girls play differently? And this is based off of a video that Ethan made. And it was a comment that he made while he was on Timcast. Link in the description. And basically, a while back, there was a study that Lego commissioned to kind of figure out how boys and girls play with their toys. And they found out that boys and girls play very differently. So Vader, I'm going to throw it to you. What did you want to ask Ethan about?
I just thought it was a really cool concept that they came up with. And I was just saying that when you brought that up on Timcast, it kind of like, for me personally, just kind of like blew my mind a little bit, because you were absolutely 100% correct on the differences between boys and girls and how they play with things and how it affects what we purchase and what we buy and how we consume our entertainment. So I don't know really how to segue to you other than just thanks for bringing that to light, because it was fascinating how you explained that all and how
I
it
will
fits
always
into.
be here. You guys can always count on me to tell you why it's wrong to work with, employ, hire SJWs,
Right.
specifically women. I always will. And I will make the videos and I will explain why women are terrible at doing men's jobs every single time. And I will take the slings and arrows. People will say, "Oh, you must have a small pee-pee." I don't. It's like this. I promise you. But you know, I
such
will
a
do
big
that.
penis. Oh, the
Yeah,
big
you-
American penis.
Tubuku. Yes.
The big American penis.
Hans is so small.
But here's the truth of the matter is that you know, Lego did this study which was meant to determine why girls weren't playing with Legos the same way the boys were, and they found out a number of different things which really define the way boys and girls are separate in the way they fantasize. Okay, so the way they're going to, if they're going to be creative people, the way they're going to write and create things, and the way they just play with toys from the age of 18 months and onward. It doesn't really change. It's always the same. And I talk about it a little bit in that video where I say, for example, they give these boys like a castle set. And the boys, they build the castle as per directed, and then they take the figures and they go have little fights with each other, and the castle's in the background, because that's the way boys kind of operate. Well, how come you're not in the castle? The castle's just the backdrop. The action, everything's external conflict. That's what we're interested in. Women are more into, and little girls are more into internal situations. Like they'll take the same castle, they'll build it just fine, and they turn it around and it's hollow. Remember, these Lego castles didn't have anything in them. And they'd say, where's the furniture? What do we do inside the castle? And they take their little figures and they project themselves onto the figures. The knights become themselves, extensions of themselves, playing in a dollhouse. So this is kind of the same thing that happens in fantasy. You'll note that the kind of stuff that women really like, that females really enjoy, they like romance novels. They like Twilight. They love Twilight. We couldn't understand it as guys. Why do you like this shit? Well, the reason why is because in every single one of these cases, books that really appeal to women, Hallmark, my wife is watching those Hallmark Christmas movies where the guy is super handsome and the girl's like a clumsy nerd who's sort of ordinary, but he loves her. The reason why is because women want to project themselves into the role of the main character all the time. They want that character to be them. They want representation. They want to feel represented in the story. This is all about me. This is happening to me. So Twilight, the Bella is an ordinary girl. There's nothing special about her at all. And yet all these pretty boy vampires and werewolves are all obsessed with her. That's how females fantasize. That's what they want. Now, when they're trying to do what we do, like we sit there and we write Batman or we read about Batman, we're intensely interested in who Batman is. And then we imagine that we're Batman. We don't imagine that Batman is us. We go, oh, it'd be so cool if I was Batman. If I had that Batmobile, I was fighting the Joker. Like, that'd be the shit. I want to be that guy. That's how boys think, okay? That's how boys fantasize and play, and how they write comics as well. So men tend to write these comic books and they go, what's Batman like? I got to write Batman. I don't write myself. I write Batman. Okay? And that's the whole thing. Now, the one of the big bits of dissonance that's going on right now in comics and why we're here, why this whole thing exists, is because at some point, feminists invaded comics. They invaded Star Wars. You can see that happening right now with Kathleen Kennedy saying, I want everything to sort of look like me. And all the main characters in Star Wars are now women with brunette hair that look like Kathleen Kennedy. You're seeing this happen because this is how women think. This is how they operate. Now, boys, we're supposed to take Star Wars. We're supposed to watch that. And we imagine that like we're these characters, but these characters are Kathleen Kennedy. It's a big fucking disaster. Like, we don't want to be Kathleen Kennedy. We don't like that. Right. When we're reading the comics and we see that Batman has been written from a feminine point of view, Tom King, who's practically a woman, I think he lactates, is writing like Batman and Catwoman as himself and his wife. Like, he's writing his own pitiful relationship into this comic book about Batman, who's nothing like Tom King. And you read that and you just react to it negatively. You have this awful, weird reaction like, this isn't right. This is wrong. So that's what's going on in our culture right now. And there's nothing wrong with women writing. Women are great writers, but women should write pretty much for women. And when women try to write for men, when they write fiction for men, this kind of a thing happens where our characters that are meant to be heroic, power fantasy, whatever it's going to be, start to act like ladies. And we have to reject it, or we know we'll become Tom King, which is, I think, the cause for a lot of the soy boys that are the people who are just accepting this and going, oh, you mean I'm supposed to talk like Betty Davis and All About Eve? That's what badass is? That's how boys are supposed to be like, all the time. Like, that's how women write men. They think that like snappy, like super sarcastic, shitty dialogue is tough. Anyway, That's my rant. So that all came from the Lego study. I have a video there you can watch and learn a little bit more about it. And Lego is trying to suppress that study now. It meant a lot to them. It launched them from the third most popular toy brand to number one, like overnight. As soon as they understood the difference between boys and girls, they created something for girls, something for boys, and now Lego is everywhere. Okay, you see Lego top toy brand. But they still don't want to talk about it. They're trying to blur those gender lines again because that's what's cool in 2023. But anyway,
I just thought it was cool when you brought that all up on Timcast and how many people out there in the media and stuff immediately picked up on it. They're like, "Oh man, Ethan's onto something here. This might actually make sense," But I don't think.
Well, nobody wants to talk about it because it isn't cool to say. We live in a world right now. Evangeline Lilly is talking. Matthew, I'm sorry, Matthew Kadish. This is your show. I'm sorry for like.
No, go ahead.
Do you mind? Okay.
Go ahead.
Evangeline Lilly right now has a great interview with her where she says, "Look, I don't understand why society right now is punishing men for acting masculine and rewarding women for being masculine, and then punishing women for acting feminine. I just want to have a family and babies, and then rewarding them for acting like men, or rewarding men for acting like pussies and women. Oh, that's the world that we're building right now." And like someone like her is actually coming out and saying, Evangeline Lilly from Lost and the Wasp in the MCU. By the way, if the MCU was all Evangeline Lilly, I don't think I'd complain. Good on you, young Missy. But she's coming out and just saying, like, I don't understand what's going on in society right now. Why are we doing this? Why are we trying to blur these gender lines, punish men for acting like men, punish women for acting like women, and praise them? The idea of a woman driving a pickup truck and punching some dude in the face is now like the coolest thing in the world. Like, that's what we want to see more of. Women staying home, nurturing their kids, being, good partners to their husbands, respecting their husbands, unless their husband is Steven Crowder. Like, you want to, ask them, like, why is this happening in society right now? What is the reason for it? Who's benefiting from this? It's bizarre, but we need to push back on it as much as we can. We need more guys like Matthew Kadish, more guys like Tom Connors, Conspiracy Tom, Matthew Vader, and even Brian, the podcast up there. We need more fellows like him in the world, and more women like Evangeline Lilly, and also Irene Strakowski, who's in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, Brian, as our gender queer representation on the panel, what's your take on boys and girls being different from one another?
I am so happy that they're different. I have two twin daughters, and I thought to myself when we were trying to have kids 10 years ago, I'm like, I hope I don't have boys, man. Boys are hard. There's a lot of gross things with boys in their teenage years. And now I'm realizing that girls are like 3 times more expensive. And I got to hire like a full security team at some point just to follow them around. So I'm a little flip-flopping on that, but I'm glad they're different, man. It's okay for men and women to be different. In fact, it's a good thing. Men have strengths and weaknesses, and so do women. We complement each other. That's the point. The human race is built on these two genders that complement each other. I don't understand why it's not a bad thing. Women don't have to be the same as men, and men don't have to be the same as women. They can be different. They can both be different and both be good. There's no reason to merge those two or to attempt to decide which one is better or worse, or to decide that one gender is better at something than others. It doesn't matter. Bottom line is, we are created differently, and that's okay. They have different strengths. They go into, when it comes to work, they usually pick hospitality in some way, right? Men pick more dangerous careers that require probably a little more risk. The whole pay gap thing is a very interesting conversation. There is no actual pay gap, not an actual created pay gap. It's more like it's a big pay gap created by decisions. Men often pick jobs that are risky. They're willing to do extra work. They're willing to go and risk their body and their mind and their health. Women often choose jobs that are more hospitality based, have more time to themselves, give them more freedom. Generally speaking, these job choices, one pays more and one pays less. It's not a manufactured pay gap. It's a sociological pay gap. As in, more women choose fields that pay this much because they would rather have good mental health and freedom. And men are like, F my mental health. I'm willing to risk my body and my mind and live 10 years less just to make an extra $14 that year.
Conspiracy Tom, I want to throw this to you. Why do you think we're in a situation nowadays where men are being rewarded for being women and women are being rewarded for being masculine?
Oh God, please don't make me talk about this.
60 seconds, Tom.
I'm going to say a bunch of crazy shit.
Here we go. Get the clip ready. Are we recording this?
Okay. Well, I'll just start by saying, look, Jordan Peterson said, which I actually quite like Jordan Peterson, like 80%. But men like things, women like people. Right. So women like relationships and things like that. They're more empathetic than we are. We're more external force driven, where we like things, we like doing things, we like applying ourselves to things, and women like to fix things and be engaged. So I mean, it's just very different. But I mean, my whole take on the whole thing is, look, we're moving men from we don't need crazy barbarians anymore, right? That are going from village to village, chopping off heads so that we can expand our territory. So it could be any number of things, and I don't want to get too weird with it. But I mean, look, we're in a society that rewards weakness, that rewards pacifism, that rewards empathy, that rewards, and we keep increasing these things because we are a modern, polite society. Do they need a guy wielding a hammer smashing in heads anymore? No, they don't. We don't really need it. The world is changing. We're moving on. Why is it changing? There's a million nightmarish reasons we can get into this. I blame a lot of things that I don't want to talk about on here because it just gets weird and goes down weird rabbit holes. But I think Ethan really did nail it. Is that when you have a lot of empathy, then you inject yourself into things, right? I don't have that problem. I don't see somebody suffering and go, oh boy, that is me. I don't have that same reaction. So, the world's a crazy place. It keeps getting weirder. The more mechanized and modernized. I mean, just think about this. If the internet went down, right? If the internet went away, we would all become rabid cannibal barbarians in 2 weeks. And that's just like the internet, much less power going away. So comfort breeds weakness, right? What is that saying? Is that hard times create hard men create easy times, good times. Good times create soft men create hard times. Yeah,
that's where we are. Yeah.
And it's exactly where we are.
But I want to correct something. I want to argue with one thing that you said. You said that like women, this is about women having empathy, and I disagree. I think it's women being naturally sort of narcissistic. They see the men are more empathetic because in this way it's like we seek to understand people who aren't us. Women don't. Women want everything. They're like, I need to relate to this. Can you steer this? Can you make it more to be like me so that it's easier for me to understand? You show a woman Tom Connors and Tom starts acting up all day. And a woman's going to go, I don't understand Tom Connors. Can you make him more like me so that I can relate to him and love him? And Tom's going to be like, no, bitch. And that's going to be
that every day, actually. But
yeah, I mean, see, that's the difference between men and women. Women want men to behave, or at least they profess to. They say that they want men.
Oh yeah. Oh God, that's
and
yes.
So that they can relate to, understand them, eventually dominate them. But yeah, men I sit there and I'll try to understand people who I'm talking to. I seek empathy. I'm talking to somebody who isn't like me. I'm trying to figure out where you're coming from. And empathize with you so that I don't have to hate you for being different from me. And that's and I think that's the difference. So it's not empathy. Women, like it's more like narcissism.
You are 100%. Yeah.
But not in a mean way. I'm not saying women are all narcissists. I'm saying it's in their nature to be like that.
So I actually finish your thought, Tom, and then.
So the nature of this conversation is inflammatory, and you are completely correct. I just yes, it is the narcissism that is the problem. You're completely right.
So I want to throw this to Tom Connors. So Ethan's point in the study that this Lego company did basically says that men like to embody characters, whereas women like to make the characters like them, so become self-inserts. And we just talked about Whoopi Goldberg basically creating a self-insert for her own comic book. But do you think that with the rise of like more women at the head of like Hollywood studios, like Kathleen Kennedy and
Amy Pascal and whatnot,
Amy Pascal and stuff like that, do you think that because we're seeing more women kind of like head up studios, that we're getting like worse and worse like entertainment offerings because that's how they're kind of structuring like the projects that they produce?
Well, I think Ethan and Tom really kind of made a lot of great points. I don't agree with all of them as a, thing, but I do agree with most of them. And I think that they're right for the most part. I'm not saying that a woman can't be creative in a way that a guy can be, but I think that we do create things differently. Like, I think I would love to see more on the study with Legos, because I think if you go even deeper, I bet you if you threw like a bunch of Legos in a group of kids and you had a group of girls and a group of boys, I would imagine the boys would probably work together to build something, and then they would interact with it in the way the boys do, as to where girls would probably separate things and do things more individually, because like Ethan was saying, they tend to try to do things to make it to where, it's about them, not in a selfish way, but where they can relate to it or whatever. But like,
back up, you're saying that girls would tend to work as individuals or boys would? I didn't hear that. Girls would be individuals.
Yes.
Yeah,
the guys would work together and come up with a plan.
Can I jump in on that one real quick?
Yeah,
absolutely. So I was doing like a management training thing at my old company, and I was leading this exercise. And the exercise that I was doing was I bought a Lego set. So on the Legos topic, it's a Lego set. It was a small one, maybe like 150 pieces, so nothing too crazy. And I had 6 leaders. It was like supervisors, managers, and like leads in a group. And basically, I put the Legos on the table, and what I said to them was, I didn't give them the instructions, and I said, "Okay, build the Lego set." And initially, one of the women in the group started taking all the pieces and grouping them by like pieces. She wasn't talking to anybody, but she started putting like the gray pieces together and the red pieces together. And then one of the guys, he ex-military, he starts yelling at everybody and starts telling them all what to do and trying to structure this through force alone. And then the couple of the weaker guys just kind of just did one of these and just kind of melted back and waited to be yelled at, right? And so Tom, you're onto something there. Yeah, it's exactly what happened in that exercise. Truth be told, they did not build that Lego set.
It sounds like you had somebody who was a bit too aggressive, but in most situations, especially if you got camaraderie with men, like if men will look at a problem, and I think Ethan kind of hit on this, men will look at a problem and they will try to solve it together, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, what is it we have that we can do here with it? Women will sit around and talk about it for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Can I ask you guys, have you ever been in a situation with a girl where she's telling you a problem and you're like, okay, here's what we need to do to solve it, and she's like, shut up, you're not listening to me, I just want you to listen.
I want you to listen.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Men want to solve a problem, right? They want to find the answer.
Yeah. Look how outraged.
Want to analyze it. Yes.
The whole panel just rabble.
Just this last weekend, Matt can tell you, I had a bit of a issue because I was in the doghouse and I didn't even do anything. You know what I mean? It's just God. Like, will you just listen to me? It's like, what do you want to talk about? I want to talk. What do you want to talk about? Well, I want to talk about what we talked about last weekend. It's like, what did we talk about last weekend? It's a never ending cycle. And it's just like, and you just sit there.
That is a test, Matt. That means you were not listening to her.
No, I wasn't. Because, at some point after, decades, it goes in this year and out this one. And you're just going to go,
it is interesting how like when women are talking to men about a problem, the women aren't talking about how to solve the problem. They're just talking about the feelings that the problem is making them experience.
Exactly.
Whereas the first thing that men do is like, okay, how do we solve this problem?
Exactly.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I was getting at. Yeah.
Everything in life for men is just a series of problems to be solved. Like that's the whole thing. Like of course I'm married, and she'll be like, we have this situation. I don't know what to do. And I'll just be like, it's a problem. We'll just sit down and we'll figure out, we'll find a solution to this problem. That's all it is. And it's like this relief of being married to a man who is just like, because women for the most part really don't think like that. And I don't, again, I love women. I love the differences.
Me too. It's not like, but it's just a matter of how we function, right? Exactly.
Right. This is a problem. We're going to solve it. That's all it is, period.
Check out
that's my kind of a grasp of the whole.
Yeah,
exactly. That's my kind of grasp of the situation. Is like we do function differently, but in that we do also work together well when it comes to certain things, right?
Oh yeah.
Like another point you could be is like, if you took those Legos, I bet like the girls would probably like create little Lego versions of themselves to where the guys would also probably work together to create something. Right, like that's the other thing. It's like Ethan and Tom are, as far as I'm concerned, hitting the nail on the head about how, women look at things internally, men look at things externally. It's just how we function. It's the way nature made us for a reason, right? Yeah. And again, there's always exceptions to the rules, but in the basis of just normal everyday life, like I wouldn't be surprised if you did this experiment farther, or if I read the results of this experiment, that's where it would probably end up.
All right, guys, real quick. I want to hit out some super chats before we change topics. Travis Patrick for $2. Ethan, how the hell's it going? Hi, Comicsgate.
Hi, thank you, Travis.
Yeah,
it's good.
And then from Doomed for $2. EVS, you have to watch Picard season 3.
No, I'm not going to. That was a trap. That whole thing was a trap. Picard, of course, ended woke. It started out like, everybody's like, oh, this is good. And I understand it was well written, but did it not end with retiring every single old male character and replacing them with women, one of whom was a lesbian, and subjugating all of the male characters to subservience to the new women leaders at the end of it? I'm pretty sure that's how Picard ended.
Ethan, let me tell you what. Last time I was on here, these guys right here are telling me how great it is, and they're like, "Oh, Thomas, you're wrong. You've got to get behind Picard. It is the future of Star."
Well, I mean, again, like the show was called Picard. It would have been really good if Picard's son took over in his place. This is all being written by someone like. He's so gifted. He's so special because of who his father was. He can clearly, take command. And when his father steps down or retires or dies or however this is going to end, and instead, no, 7 of 9 and her female companion take over. The guy who the white male, what's his name? Who was
Jack.
Jack. They killed him. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
But I mean, it's
Captain Shaw.
Yeah, Kevin Shaw. They killed him, and they didn't have to do that. This was all kind of like, see, here's what Picard season 3 was saying. It was saying to you guys, you think we're incompetent. We're not incompetent. We can tell a good story, and we'll show you that. And then we're going to smack you upside the head with more woke at the end of it. So eat that. And that's what Picard was. Sorry, guys.
Just to defend myself a little bit, Brian, we don't have the time for that shit. Okay. For you to disagree. Just to defend myself though, a little bit, conspiracy Tom. The last thing I said about Star Trek was the way it ended was with Seven and her lesbian lover, and they might as well have had Jack attached to Seven with a gimp mask and a leash attached to him, sitting on his little chair next to her over there. I do agree with exactly what Ethan said. I enjoyed the series, but they could have ended it a little bit different. So
I mean, we all saw the Kevin Smith He-Man, didn't we?
Oh, it's awful.
They're doing that on purpose now. You understand? They're deliberately. These people are doing this to intentionally f with you.
That Kevin Smith He-Man. I'm still grinding my teeth on that one. That was
all right, guys. I just want to remind everyone.
He had a breakdown, dude, because some teacher called him fat and sent him down the path that turned him into a filmmaker.
Great.
Hey guys,
Wear a
wanna
bigger
remind
hockey
it-
jersey.
I want to remind everyone in the chat that we're trying to hit 5 new YouTube memberships. Link in the description if you guys want to join the membership area. We do 1 video a week for our members. It's a lot of fun. It's the stuff that we can't show publicly, like Vader going off on Subway sandwiches and all that fun stuff. But I want to get to a Comicsgate issue that we're going to be talking about, which is basically Comicsgate has been kind of targeted by crowdfunding platforms to either shadow ban them or just ban them outright. And we have this article from Bounding into Comics about this platform called Crowdfunder, which has banned all Comicsgate related products. And also how like certain other crowdfunding platforms are like suppressing the visibility of a lot of Comicsgate funded stuff. Ethan, can you kind of give everyone a quick breakdown of what Comicsgate is and what's going on with these crowdfunding platforms kind of unfairly targeting people in the Comicsgate crowd?
Okay, Comicsgate is it started out as a movement to protest social justice, to protest woke in comics and everything that entailed, which included poor content, woke content, overt left-wing politics, rather over and above story, while the certain professionals were being abusive to the fans, telling them to shut up, telling retailers to shut up and not complain about all of the new woke stuff that was in comics. Comicsgate was a conflict between normal people and those people. And then gradually over time, when we learned that we could not convince, the mainstream comic book industry to respond to the fans, I was blacklisted from comics for associating with them after it was learned that also I voted for President Trump and therefore was responsible for, sorry, Brian, countless deaths of queer people all over the world. I wasn't aware of that, but they told me that. Yeah, sure. So anyway, we started to crowdfund our own comic books to promote our comics using YouTube. And we've been very successful. And we've inspired, I think, a whole generation of people, including Eric July, to start making our own comics and telling our own stories and creating our own legends. Because most of this stuff you've got to kind of give up for dead. You can still enjoy Star Wars if you want to, but it's never going to be the same again. And we need more creative people who aren't under the stranglehold of leftist politics and that agenda to create the next generation of heroes, legends, and stories. So that's what we're trying to do. In the meantime, we've encountered all kinds of weirdness. We're against political discrimination in comics, and we're being politically discriminated against at every turn. Of course we are. Our existence takes power away from wokesters, from woke leftists who want to be the only ones who get to say who gets to make comics, who gets to make toys, who gets to go to conventions. That's what Comicsgate's for. So, I think we had a few comics that actually got kicked off of platforms. One is Mike Barron's Private American, kicked off for being racist. It isn't racist at all, not at all. And other people and their comics have been removed from the Kickstarter, et cetera, et cetera. And we're finding out that Indiegogo is shadow banning certain projects, certain Comicsgate projects, so that they're not searchable via Google, and you can't find them on the website itself unless you have a direct link. And I don't know why they're doing that. We've asked them; they haven't come out. Crowdfunder was stupid enough to brag that they were
right.
A crowdfundar. Their crowdfund put the little R at the end. Them telling us that we can't crowdfund on their platform is like telling us that we can't eat licorice pizza. We weren't going to anyway, so F you. But when it comes to Indiegogo and Kickstarter and these other platforms, like, fair is fair. We should be able to use them. We do have a new platform called Fund My Comic, created by a Comicsgater who is, we're endeavoring to try to take control of this situation and be able to crowdfund our own stuff. But in the meantime, it's been extraordinary. Our comics, our product is way better than the mainstream. This is my new book. This is Cyberfrog Wrecked Planet. Obviously, this looks 1,000 times better than anything that you're going to see on the stands from Marvel or DC. We're able to just get in there and really do great artwork, tell good stories, and hopefully, this will be the future, of pop culture. I'm even able to crowdfund action figures that are every bit as good as the stuff that you will find in Target and Walmart. So that's Comicsgate. If you want to learn more about it, go to comicsgate.org. And I'll just ask you, I mean, if you're listening right now and you've never done this before, I want you to consider going to comicsgate.org, looking at all the comic campaigns, and rather than going to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and I know Disney is so awesome, and you definitely want to give Disney your money, rather than do that, rather than go to the movies, take $25 and invest it in one of these crowdfunding campaigns, and do it this weekend, and support young creators who are trying to get their comic books out there without having to kneel to woke. Thanks.
Conspiracy Tom, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about these crowdfunding companies kind of like redefining words like racist and stuff like that just to justify like basically banning or kicking off independent creators?
Look, I'm Mr. Free Speech, right? I think anyone should say whatever they want. I don't give a shit if your feelings get hurt. When did this become such an issue? But you got to realize, where is it coming from? It's all money, right? So it's all money. It all's coming from money. Who's funding all this crap, right? What's the famous line? Follow the money, right? Who's funding all of these agendas, right? Why is this what we're seeing? Why is this the forefront of everything? Why? I don't personally like okay, they say that the rise of echo chambers is driving a lot of this because people are just continually getting more agoraphobic and more isolated, and you'll only talk to the 4 people, and now everyone in your little world agrees with everything you say. But I personally don't know anyone that really supports any of this kind of stuff. Like I live in Las Vegas. It's a fairly purple city in a fairly purple state, right? But I don't really know anybody that buys into this stuff. I do hear people telling me, "Oh, that's offensive and that's problematic," but that's only because they're being told that that's how you're supposed to feel. We're increasingly in a society where, one, creativity is shunned, being different is shunned, and everyone is supposed to be like everybody else. We're all equal. It's this terrifying reality that we just keep going further and further. The Overton window just keeps they keep opening more windows and we keep going through them. And it's like, we started way over here, right? I remember the 90s. The 90s were great. Comics were great in the 90s, right? And then here we are today. How did we get here? Who paid for us to go from here?
That's a really good question. I've often wondered how we've gotten to the point where we at now with all this craziness. It's weird.
It, man. It's the Overton window, right?
Started in the 60s with Marxism.
Well, no, it does all start in the 60s. And I mean, if we want to get in the conspiracy side of this, read Chaos, the CIA's Covert War of the 60s.
I have that book, bro.
Fascinating, isn't it? It's a fascinating book.
Also, basically the Marxism playbook, guide to the third. That's great.
It's fascinating. The 60s, everything that was happening in the late 60s, early 70s is literally happening right now in America.
It's how to take over the country without actually going to war.
Yeah. Who's paying for this shit? Well, all the hippies are in charge now, right? Yeah. Look at Congress is just a bunch of lawyers and ex-hippies for the most part.
All indoctrinated in universities by crazy hippie professors.
Yeah. Here's another good book. It's called The Storm Before the Calm. It's like a socioeconomic breakdown of the United States from colonial till now. Just absolutely fantasizing, fascinating deep dive. And kind of what it discusses is every 80 years, there's like it's a generational shift in the country. And right now we're at the end of a generational shift. So right now it's like the experts. So it's post World War II till now have been the experts, have been who we look to, doctors, lawyers, master's degrees, which is also why our education system's gotten all out of whack, because we put so much emphasis on your degree and what that means, right? Dr. Jill Biden. How dare you not call her Dr. Jill? She is a doctor, goddammit. Mm-hmm. And it's just the force of the country. So we're all coming to the end of this right now. Lots of people are starting to realize that just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean you're a smart person. Just because you're a doctor does not mean you understand anything, right? But more people are understanding this, especially over the last 3 years. We all realize that there's no adults in this country, that we are adults, and I was pretty sure I was still a high school student screwing off and failing my English classes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But here we are, and we're in this paradigm shift right now, and which is why he argues that everything's super fucked up. And at the same time, we are in an economic shift where it started with Reagan and we're ending now with trickle down and the microchip and the microprocessor. And now we're moving into a new phase, which is probably AI driven, which is Mrs. Davis terrifying Black Mirror 3.0. You know what I mean?
So I want to throw this to Tom Connors. You know, one of the interesting things about this movement, Comicsgate and beyond, is that people are so frustrated with what mainstream, kind of like Hollywood and comic books and publishing and all this stuff are feeding us, that they've basically gone the independent route, and basically independent creators are like, hey, here's the stuff that I want to see. And people are responding to that. And then like, once they're seeing success with that, they're being punished. Like Eric July, for instance, the Rippaverse was a huge success story. And now he's being attacked for being like, the black face of white supremacy and stuff like that. So what's your take on this? Why do you think that independent creators are being so viciously attacked by the mainstream?
Well, if they weren't a threat, if they weren't a problem, then they wouldn't be getting attacked, right? Like the industry would just ignore them. They would be not a problem. It's kind of the same thing with, being an indie filmmaker, indie producer of any type. If the industry sees you as a problem, they'll either buy you out or they'll try to tear you down in some way. But at this point, there is no comic book industry. I mean, I'm sure Ethan will tell you that right now. Like, the Comicsgate comics are selling a lot better and have a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? Loyal fan base, I guess, for lack of a better word, than any comic that's out right now. I mean, name me any title. I mean, all the top 10 comics are always 10 different Batman titles, basically, because they ain't got nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody buys into Spider-Man. It's not any of the characters anymore. And Ethan had that great that Michael Bancroft turned into the animated bits with Cecil that kind of explained this whole thing as to where we're at right now. And, you got to imagine sooner or later somebody would figure that out, but it's too late, right? I think that the box office of Guardians of the Galaxy this weekend is going to play that out, regardless of how many people are enjoying the film. The water's been tainted. Nobody cares anymore. There's no comic book industry. So they have to tear down everybody around them who's doing better. I'm sure Ethan said this a million times before, it's
about power, Tom.
Yeah,
about
exactly.
Who has the power. It's not about stories anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want power. I want to be able to make comic books and toys. Thank you for, by the way, Comicsgate, thanks for helping me to make toys. That's a dream come true. Tom, look at this. Look at Salamandroid.
Yep,
look at this toy that we made.
Yep.
Did you get one of these?
Yep.
I mean, this is extraordinary. The fact that we were able to make. Look at the tail. It just goes
That's
on
awesome.
and on.
Wow.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. So I mean, this is like we couldn't have done this without Comicsgate. There's no way that working in DC, this would never have been a reality. I'd be working on their characters forever, giving them ideas. But the fact of the matter is, we're taking power from them and using it in a very positive way, which is to create more stories. They're using power to exclude and gatekeep others and other creators who are in their way, who they see are in their way. That's intolerable to me, and it can only do harm to the comic book industry. What do you think, Matthew Kadish? Cool?
Yeah, very cool.
Very cool.
Brian from the Popcast. So there's a political element to this, right? Where like basically, if you're to the right of Lenin, you're considered to be like a problematic individual, and you need to be silenced. And this crowdfunding situation is just like an extension of that, like we saw with Patreon, people with the wrong political beliefs getting basically, their entire livelihood taken from them by getting banned from that platform and stuff like that. And I know that Ethan, like when he was on Timcast, he told his story about how, under Obama, things were great because, the other side was powerless. But as soon as Trump got into office, everyone became a target.
The natives became restless. Yeah, they were placated when Obama, and I hated Obama's presidency, but I'm an adult. I just kind of said, nah, it'll be my turn in 8 years again, to vote again. For every 4 years, I'm going to get another chance. As soon as Trump won once, I've never seen people behave like this.
Oh, man.
And you guys all witnessed it too. It was insane.
It's still going.
It's still going.
It's still going. Yeah, people still have TDS, man. The guy's not even president anymore.
Yeah,
well, it's really payback for Al Gore, it felt like to me. That's what it really, really felt like. They were that pissed. That's what they were throwing a fit about.
Yeah, but I want to hear Brian's take on this because you guys at the Popcast just went through a situation with Amazon as well. So there are these institutions in place to kind of help the small business guy, the independent business guy, but they seem to just on a whim just want to destroy you. Yeah,
they decide arbitrarily or based on their dislike or like of you or what you're selling or your unwillingness to sell things that they want you to sell or say or do, whatever. They just sort of decide that you can no longer do business. And the thing is, these companies have now completely, not completely, but for the most part, taken over their respective industries. Amazon is the biggest marketplace in the world. Mm-hmm. It has the majority of the market share. As someone who runs a couple of websites who sell, I have tiny little percentage of that market share. People would rather go to Amazon over my site. Normies don't understand that they're supporting this giant corporation that doesn't care about them. So in order to run your business, you have to be part of that world because that's where all the people are, or you just can't have that business. Yeah. So we have to be in Amazon. I've been with Amazon for almost 20 years. I remember my first 2 years with Amazon, I was in the top 10 percentile of sellers. I got a plaque. They sent me a plaque in the mail. That's a congratulations. You are in the top 10 percentile of our best sellers. The third year, I got a plaque. I was in the top 5 percentile of their best sellers. They loved us. And then that changed. We keep bucking the system. I'm not going to get into crazy details, but they are worried more about stealing your product and protecting other people stealing your products than the sellers that have been with them for 20 years or the people that are working with them. They can't outright kick us off. So what they do is every couple of years they just throw out insane allegations. We think that you might be stealing this information or this design or whatever from someone else, from Disney specifically. It's always something to do with Disney. So you're just suspended indefinitely until you figure it out. And then we have to jump through all the hoops and we have to explain everything and eventually they let us back on and then it goes from there. Or maybe we're something political that they don't like. Like we literally had shirts up that we don't even take a stand in our business, but we had shirts up that supported whoever you wanted to vote for. But the fact is, they didn't like the fact that a couple of the products that were supporting right wing, even though we had a corresponding left wing products up there too, because we're not discriminating. We'll take all your money. But they don't like the right wing ones, so they put a bunch of flags on that and this is flagged as unsafe. Unsafe? It's a t-shirt. What are you going to do? Kill someone with it? We had a t-shirt that was like a Counter-Strike thing. It was a Counter-Strike t-shirt. And it was like a guy with a gun. He was like, I'm going to go frag some nerds. And they lost their minds. That
sounds problematic for sure.
Yeah, so I want to throw it to Vader. What do you think about the situation where there is no free speech anymore? From YouTube to Facebook to pretty much every social media platform except for maybe Twitter. They're basically kind of controlling what it is you can and can't say and can't do.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that, man. I did just have an instance on Twitter just this week where I found it kind of fascinating how I made a tweet and I was being critical of Star Wars Visions Season 2. And For real. I did. It was a real tame. There was no swearing or anything in it. And I put the hashtag Star Wars sucks at the end of it. And I said, hey, we can see your agenda poking through with all your female centric cartoon shorts. Right. And that's basically what I said. And I randomly went back and checked that out 7 hours later. And I had literally no interaction and 4 impressions on Twitter. Right. I'm like, I got 1,500 people that follow me on Twitter. I mean, it's not a huge thing, but it's not small either. I usually get, some interaction. So, and I thought that was very strange. So I just, as an experiment, I did another tweet, basically reversing the initial tweet and just saying, hey, your Star Wars Visions 2 is the greatest thing since sliced bread, basically. And you're so powerful and strong and brave. And I love the whatever, it was gross. It made my fingers hurt just typing it. And within the first 60 seconds, it had already had more impressions than my other tweet had earlier. And it was just a very strange experiment, and I didn't really expect it from, new Elon Musk Twitter, but it was like, I felt like they were stifling my other conversation because I had a take that maybe somebody in the Twitter world didn't like. And I still don't know how it all works. I just found it fascinating that my negative Star Wars tweet got nothing and my positive one got all kinds of impressions. It's very strange. And this goes on all over out there, so it's hard to have a conversation when you're not allowed to have a conversation. So
this kind of reminds me of when this kind of reminds me of when you guys were reading all the Morbius.
Yeah.
Like this is the greatest cinema achievement of our generation. I mean, people were. I mean, that was the real comments.
Yeah. But those were intentionally kind of like.
But I think that's what Vader's getting at. It's like, why do we see this shit? Like, right? Like, why is Vader's one opinion pushed down and the other one elevated? Right? Because somebody somewhere decided, no, yes.
Yeah.
And it freaks me out, man. Who? Is it an algorithm?
It's an algorithm. It has to be an algorithm, but somebody writes the algorithm, right? So
yeah, it's Mrs. Davis. It's the Uniparty. All right, guys, real quick. We got Whiskey Jack for £2. Rippus' latest monetize your haters video is so funny. That is a good video where he talks about how to take the people who attack you and make money off of them.
Yeah.
And speaking of making money off of stuff that we like to attack, let's talk a little bit about the Rings of Power and how, because of the writer's strike, no writers and producers are going to be on the set for the remainder of season 2's filming. So this is from Variety. Basically, the writer's strike has thrown a monkey wrench into stuff that's already in production. And as if the Rings of Power wasn't bad enough with the writers and producers, now the writers and producers aren't going to be involved in the show as it finishes filming their season 2. And I just found this funny because I was like, you know what, this might actually improve the series going forward. Brian from the Popcast, what's your take on this? Does the Rings of Power really need writers and producers to move forward?
No. In fact, I would argue that if you just, you know what, Amazon, be brave and just use ChatGPT and call it like some kind of, a new industry standard, testing the limits of our science. Bet you the show would be better.
Tom,
I bet you it would. I bet ChatGPT can create a better script than what we
Conspiracy
got last
Tom,
season.
what's your take on this?
Okay, apparently I'm the only one that kind of enjoyed it.
Oh my god!
Other than some odd casting,
get rid of them.
Other than some odd casting, I kind of want to see where it's going. Nobody else?
No.
Look at this. Look at these faces. No. I actually look. I like almost anything with a sword in it. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those things. If it's Conan or He-Man related, I'm usually, I'll probably watch it eventually. So I didn't really hate it, other than some weird casting, which is a pretty normal thing these days, that you're going to get weird casting, right? You're going to get shoehorn casting, and no one's going to understand why exactly. And you're going to have some weird stuff. But the overall story removes some of the weird. I actually like where it's going. I want to see the second season. I'm actually kind of interested. And I watched that South Park episode that ChatGPT wrote, and it was pretty good. It was pretty much on par.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
All right,
Could be
so
worse.
I want to throw this to Tom Connors and get his take on not only the writer's strike, but how it's going to affect the Rings of Power season 2. And then I know Tom has to bow out because he's got other responsibilities. But Tom, what's your take on this?
As far as Rings of Power goes, it'll probably be better.
That'll be better.
Of course it'll be better, because you don't have writers dragging it down. Like, they could probably make a better show just going out there and playing pretend like kids. Let's be real. As far as the writer's strike goes, it's a very complicated and nuanced situation. We're at a point now where hopefully this flushes out some of the crappy, untalented hacks, and Hollywood gets itself back to where it needs to be. Writers need to live up to this expectation that they're trying to give themselves right now as well. It's like, I want to support the writers, but they haven't exactly given us a lot to enjoy over the last few years. But I also understand part of that's propaganda and crap coming from above, and they have to adhere. I know a lot of writers who are like, I don't like writing this crap, but if I don't, then I don't eat. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. And again, these strikes, the only people they really hurt are the people that are, not these big no-name people. The big no-name people you see in the all the articles for the strike and stuff like that, like the Adam Who Ruins Everything guy. These people can afford not to work for 5, 6, 7 months or more. It's the other folks who can't. Right. And there's a lot of shows that are going to get canceled because of this. There's a lot of movies that are going to get canceled because of this. Some that's probably for the better. I'm not going to lie. Right now, there's only a few, like literally a handful of shows I give a crap about. And I could name them real quick. South Park, Yellowstone, Cobra Kai, Beavis and Butthead. That's really about it that I can think of offhand. Like, otherwise, I don't care. Like, everything else can go away at this point because it's all crap. I'm really not sure how long it's going to take to resolve these issues. Some of the things I agree with, some of them I think they're expecting too much, but Hollywood doesn't seem like they want to budge on a lot of these things. So we'll see.
All right, Tom, thank you for joining our panel. Where can people find more of you going forward?
You can find me in Midnight's Edge After Dark, and I'm always in the regular spots. So,
all right, and thanks for turning on your webcam today.
I did a few times. I'll try to work on it some more.
I'm telling you, just use the puppet next time, Tom. It was amazing.
I might.
All right, thanks,
thank
Tom.
you guys.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, Matt Vader 74. What's interesting is that previously, when there was a Hollywood writers' strike, you saw kind of like a pivot to more like reality TV shows and stuff like that. But this time around, people have YouTube and creator content and basically people like us. And we're already seeing kind of like a movement away from like streaming and Hollywood stuff to more kind of Comicsgate style independent creator things. Do you think that that this writer's strike could be a mistake and allow, more market share to go towards independent creators?
Well, I know the whole reality-based TV thing has been like the death knell for actual television. It's been awful. And I think that kind of stemmed from the last writer's strike in some ways, right? Kind of like what you just said. I don't watch network television anymore. I don't. I told my wife the other day to turn the cable off. And if she does, I wouldn't care. Just keep the internet on. Most of our stuff that we watch is at a theater or on some of the big streaming platforms. And yes, I think people, I think the way people consume their entertainment has changed. There's places like YouTube, there's Rumble, there's, Twitch,
Don't forget TikTok.
TikTok, Instagram, whatever, I can't stand TikTok. I think it's awful. I think it makes you stupid the longer you keep watching the thing. But at the same time, the way people get their entertainment is changing, and the Hollywood and the network system and stuff is broken. Everybody's talking about, the late night television guys aren't able to do their shows. They're going to go to repeats and SNL. Well, those shows haven't been good in years, right? I mean, who cares? Nobody gives a shit if those shows aren't going to be on television. I spend my evenings when I'm not when the time that I have to watch late night entertainment, I'm watching Ethan selling comic books with his 10 friends over there, you know, or something like that.
Watching. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you know, that's I'm not saying I'm always watching like real, but it's on in the background. You know, Tom.
The most incredible thing just happened, and this is why I love YouTube so much, Matthew and Matt and Brian and Conspiracy Tom. I love it because I've been saying all along, I said, this is what happened. I voted for President Trump. I celebrated, and you guys lost your minds, and you destroyed my life. This artist, Chris Cross, who he's not that Chris. He's not the jump guy. He's a
kids jump,
bunch of other stuff. Yeah. He's been telling me all weekend that I'm wrong about that I got fired for being an a-hole, which is possible, except explain all the other a-holes that are still working there. And he just tweeted something out, which was incredible. Matthew, can I share this on your show, or should I save it for mine?
You can share it on here.
This is unbelievable.
Breaking news.
Yeah, look at this situation here. Let me see here. Right there. Okay. This is why. He says, you and your antics. Let's call a buck a buck. LL Cool J said it best. Ego is not your amigo. Humility is your superpower. Annoying people being braggadocious with your political leanings with someone like Trump is like me being Christian telling people they're going to hell. Every chance I get. Eventually, it's so divisive that it blows back to the company you're working with, and they get complaints that of people you annoyed. In other words, my peers. Money-paying people. You know how corporations hate that. You're not a dumb man. Whether you were late or not doesn't matter. Their SJWs are gaslighting and saying the reason I was blacklisted because I was late all the time, which I wasn't. So he's admitting here that had nothing to do with it. You say you love DC, but you embroiled them in your activities, which was me being excited about Trump by proxy. They don't like that, so you can pretend that you don't know why it happened. It didn't happen out of nowhere. I said, you just said what happened. I was excited for Trump's presidency. My peers literally told me my vote would lead to the death of queer creators. It was insane. Obama won, and it was a nonstop party. Trump won, and the people who voted for him were called a-holes and fired. This is astonishing. Thank you, Chris Cross. DC and Marvel's creator explains why I was blacklisted from comics. I was happy about Trump's victory. That, quote-unquote, annoyed people. Thank you for the confirmation. Yep. Unbelievable. Thank you.
That's real. That's real.
But it's like the way you describe it. Like, don't you understand? You annoyed people with being braggadocious about it, and that blew back on the company. Who blew it back on the company, you jerk? You guys did. You're the ones who said we won't work with him anymore because he's excited about Trump. Yep. Unreal.
Yeah, the people who most preach compassion and inclusivity are the most exclusive and bigoted people out there, ironically enough. Ethan, what do you think of this writer's strike and how it might affect not only independent content creators, but something as big as the $1 billion Rings of Power series?
Well, I hope all of them fall apart. I hope they all fall into a hole or a volcano. If like all of these people in Hollywood fell into an active volcano at once, I think the world would be a better place and children would be safer. Earlier, Brian talked about how the fingerprints of James Gunn being on the DCU would be a good thing, and as long as they're not on children, I agree with him. I think it would be better that his fingerprints stay on the DCEU. So the writer's strike isn't going to affect anyone in any meaningful way. Who cares? Is it going to affect us? No. I don't work for, I don't belong to the Writers Guild. Mm-hmm. I'm not in WAG or whatever that is. And I'm going to continue to create. I'm not in some big socialist union. I'm independent, an independent creator, mom and pop comic book company. I don't know. I'm so glad the Acolyte is paused, Blade is paused. All this stuff is great. It's just good news, man. These guys should slow down anyway.
It's going to throw Hollywood for a curveball, that's for sure. Tom, you had a take you wanted to share?
Yeah, it was going off what Ethan was saying. So there was a like a Hogwarts video game that came out recently. I think we're all familiar with the Hogwarts video game, right? So I was gonna buy it. Like I was on my PlayStation, and I'm going to download it. And then I said to myself, you know what? Let me go check the reviews. If anybody wants to have like an experience, go ahead and Google Hogwarts, whatever the game is, reviews. They're going to give you 3 top reviews, right? One of them is from Wired Magazine. So one review is 10 out of 10. One review is 9 out of 10. Wired Magazine, 1 out of 10. So I clicked on it to read their review. It was a 7-page rant about how J.K. Rowling is a bigot and how her hand is in everything. And the whole game is anti-Semitic. And it was literally a 7-page rant. And that was Wired Magazine's official review of a highly rated video game, all because the person reviewing was a they them from Portland, which they mentioned many times throughout, and is a fosters a rabbit, by the way, so she's a rabbit rescuer. But the whole article, 7 pages long, that Wired Magazine then went and said, "This is our official review of a game." Terrifying stuff.
Indeed. What's also terrifying is that we're at almost 300 concurrent viewers on this stream. That is amazing. If you're out there and you like what you're hearing, give us a thumbs up. Like the video, that helps us out with the algorithm. And another thing that helps us out with the algorithm is No Money G, who just donated $20. Great show, guys. By the way, I now identify as a transitioning they, them, trans female, but still transitioning to the male I always was by drinking my Bud Light.
Welcome,
which
No
is,
Money G. Welcome.
Yes, which is Vader's favorite beer. No Money G was out here for the Vegas meetup. He went to our special screening of Free Enterprise and Attack of the Dock. It's great to meet you out here, No Money G. Thank you so much for the support. We really appreciate it. Yeah. Guys, there was this thing on Twitter the other day where they were talking about how if women ruled the world, there would be no war. I responded to that tweet by saying, well, there's certainly no Star Wars anymore. And then I put a gif of Kathleen Kennedy, because she has effectively ended Star Wars. But one of the funny things about this take is that she's now talking about how they're going to switch up Star Wars's release strategy to mimic James Bond, where that's like, okay, instead of one Star Wars movie every year, we're going to move it to once every 3 years, and we're going to really take the time to plan it out and all that stuff. And I call BS on this, because basically, for those of you who don't know, the James Bond release schedule is completely arbitrary, because those productions are always a mess. And I just find it funny how, like, Kathleen Kennedy is literally trying to gaslight everyone about her tenure overseeing Star Wars and the process by which they go about making these movies. So, Brian from the Popcast, I want to start with you. What's your take on this? Do you think that the extended release schedule for Star Wars is going to help, or are we just doomed until Kathleen Kennedy gets replaced?
Well, it'll help them, because I do believe that in addition to the low quality efforts that Star Wars have been putting out there, because it's pretty bad. It's all pretty bad. Also, there's a fatigue. Like if you continually create crap and you do it at a breakneck pace, there's this sort of apathy that the normies will adopt when every time they see like a Star Wars project, they just go, whatever, I don't need to worry about it right now, because you're getting so much so quickly and it's so bad. Now, if it was really good, then that would be better, but I believe that I don't think you can have quality and speed. And there's a reason why it's just been so bad, you know. So I think that a slow release will be good for them. More people will forget that the last thing they watched was super bad, and they might check out the next thing.
So Matt Vader 74, Conspiracy Tom famously broke you when it comes to your love of Star Wars. What's your take on it? Can anything be done to salvage this franchise?
I don't know if there really is anymore at this point. I'm kind of just to the point of non-caring about Star Wars going forward. I have no thrill or sense of anticipation for anything that's coming out. I mean, not even the Ahsoka stuff, and I kind of like the whole Rebel show. It is what it is, man. They release it, we'll watch it, and if it sucks, we'll say it. If it doesn't suck, I guess we'll say that too. But yeah, Tom broke me a long time ago, and that's okay. It's fine. I'm not even mad about it anymore. Star Wars sucks. Kathleen Kennedy sucks. I hate their agenda, and yeah, man. It is what it is. It's, the Force is a female right now. We can't deny that, because it's all about the women in Star Wars, and I wouldn't even really care a whole lot about that if it was actually any good and worth watching, but it's not. It's terrible. It sucks.
So Conspiracy Tom, you had a famous metaphor that you shared with us about how, everyone loves Empire Strikes Back. So like if you went to a restaurant and you ordered your favorite thing on that menu, aka the Empire Strikes Back, and you just kept going there every day ordering the same thing on the menu, but then like if you ever ordered something different, it was terrible. Mm-hmm. Is it still your favorite restaurant, or is it just that one dish is your favorite thing?
So legitimately, like okay, we're all familiar with Carrabba's, the Italian restaurant. I think we've probably all been there at least once. They have a dish called chicken Brian. It is one of my favorite things in the whole world. Does that mean that is like the best restaurant in the whole world, or does that just mean I like goat cheese and sun-dried tomatoes? I think it's just I like goat cheese and sun-dried tomatoes. But yeah, no, I'm sorry, Vader.
It's okay, man. I don't even know why you brought this up. Because
every time you see my face, I haunt your dreams, brother.
No, I'm past it. I'm good. I'm good, man. I don't care anymore.
I mean, look, there's a lot of analogies. Really, I only like Empire and Rogue One. The Sith, the third prequel was good, and the first sequel was good. But Star Wars is just a mess, man. There's nothing. There's no hope. But here's an idea. We're all creatives. We all have great ideas, and we've played this game before. Why don't we make a Star Wars movie, and we can crowdfund it and put it out there, and just see if our 30-minute movie just holds a candle to just.
They would take it down.
You think so?
We'd go through all that work and effort and time and money, and they would. Google or whatever would just strike it out, and we'd be
remembering? Didn't I think it was Mike Zero or someone made like this whole
Star Wars Theory.
Star Wars Theory.
What was it?
Star Wars Theory made a fan.
Yeah,
Mike Zero. Don't say his name.
To Vader. It was I forgot what it was. It was gorgeous though. Not making any money. It didn't break any copyright rules. It was manually struck.
He even had permission from Lucasfilm.
He had permission. So all that, and it was still manually struck. Any money he made from that, the ad revenue was completely gone.
Yeah, really quick before we get to Ethan's take on this, I just want to remind everyone that we're going to be doing the drawing for the free Cyberfrog signed copy. So your last chance to get in on the giveaway, type in hashtag Cyberfrog in the
all
chat.
All lowercase, right?
Yeah, all lowercase if you guys want to be entered for that. Ethan, we talked a little bit earlier about how women, when put in charge of certain industries, are just the wrong fit. And I don't think that that's ever been more clear with anyone other than Kathleen Kennedy. Ever since she was passed the torch by George Lucas, she has systematically run Star Wars, the brand, and the franchise into the ground. What's your take on her new strategy?
Well, I mean, I don't think she's going anywhere. Sorry. I think she's here to stay. I think she has had a record of enormous financial successes aside from Solo, that really, a non-creative corporation is going to look at dispassionately and just believe that she deserves to stay there. What do I think of it? I don't know. To me, it's like anything that isn't George Lucas is fanfic to me. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I don't, it could be good fanfic. It could be bad fanfic. It probably is going to be bad fanfic. But I kind of arrived at that conclusion where I really want the original creators to follow through. Anybody else is a pretender. The new Lord of the Rings show is shit because it's not it's not Tolkien, so it can't possibly be good.
Right.
I mean, it could be, but it isn't real. It isn't authentic. It might be good fan fiction. So I would say, like, rather than, even if we could do that, like, rather than borrow somebody else's ideas, somebody else's characters, create your own, guys.
Yeah.
And that way you don't have copyright issues. If you want to tell the greatest Star Wars story ever, make something kind of close to it, and do it and own it, and make something that could become the next Star Wars.
Yep.
That's what I would say. And I hope everybody kind of steers in that direction. You can't be fans forever. Right now you have fans who think they're special. They're especially amazing fans who are making Star Wars right now and looking down at fans like you with contempt because you're lesser fans. They're employed fans of Star Wars. So I don't know. I mean, all of it's meaningless. My hope is my initial hope is that Disney would be a kind company that took entertaining children into consideration, took that as an important thing, and they're not. They viciously canceled Gina Carano, which is unforgivable. They
agreed.
I can't support them. They parents decided that they wanted to make a law that teachers in public elementary schools shouldn't be allowed to discuss confusing gender issues with children between the ages of 4 and 8. And Disney opposed that law. I can't. This is a dangerous, sick company. It is not Walt Disney's company anymore.
Nope.
It's just, it has his name. Star Wars is not Star Wars. It just has the name Star Wars. And proceed with that in mind, guys. Stop getting your heart broken over this stuff. Flip it off, move on, and let's do something new.
I think that's a mic drop moment right there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So are you ready to find out who's going to win the signed Cyberfrog comic book? Okay, we got 49 entries in here.
Nice.
We're going to start.
It's going to be me. I won.
Save us on shipping, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Mark. Good old Anthony Mark chilling out at the beach. He is the winner of the
Anthony Mark. I love that guy.
Yeah, we all love Anthony Mark. So he is the winner of the signed Cyberfrog copy. Anthony, hit us up at saltynerdpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your address so we can get that out to you right away. And thank you all who participated in the giveaway. We really have fun doing these things. And the winner of our extra wallet giveaway, Joker Voice, he's getting a brand new wallet. So it was a lot of fun to do that stuff. All right, guys. So just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who gave us super chats during this live stream before we head out of here. Mexican Iron Man, Joker's Voice, Gavin Blackburn, Fluffy Panda, Dennis Wright, the Astro Nerd Boy, one of our Salty Saturday superstars, Backyard TARDIS, our oldest patron, really appreciate the support, Backyard TARDIS, Travis Patrick, Doomed Whiskey Jack, and No Money G. Guys, thank you so much for your support for these things. We really do appreciate it. Conspiracy Tom, where can people find more of you on Facebook? And do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Oh, my God. I have so many thoughts as usual. If you want to get a hold of me, get a hold of Matt Kadish, and he'll get a hold of me. He has a soup can with a string that runs to my bunker, and he can reach out to me. So for any public appearances or anything like that, go reach through Matthew Kadish, my producer over here, and he'll get in touch with me. Final thoughts. I think this was a really fun one. Really good input, guys. I had a fun time chatting this week. Lots of inflammatory comments, and lots of people listen to our inflammatory comments. So good stuff. It just goes to say that, look, man, people think like not everyone has groupthink, right? We're individuals, have an opinion, speak it. Don't be afraid. Freedom of speech is a beautiful thing. Don't be afraid. That's my final thoughts.
All right. And there was someone in chat who said that Ethan Van Sciver makes everything better.
He does.
He certainly makes our live stream better.
Absolutely.
Uncle Ethan, Thank you so much
Thanks.
for coming on today. Do you have any final thoughts, and where can people find out more about you and Comicsgate and all the good
Oh
stuff?
yeah, obviously, please subscribe to Comic Artist Pro Secrets. I don't promote my own YouTube channel very much, and I should. If you would be so kind, you want to hear more from me and Comicsgaters about topics discussed there, go to Comic Artist Pro Secrets and subscribe. Also, go to our eBay store, which is Cyberfrog9. Just look up Cyberfrog on eBay. You'll see Cyberfrog9. You'll find our eBay store. We do have a special right now on Salamandroid. Get a Salamandroid like this in a box. As we're fulfilling these, a few of the boxes have a hole in the plastic. So we're like, what do? We can't give these away to people who backed it. We're selling them for $20. So if you want a Salamandroid that you can just sort of take out of the box and display, play with, we'll send it to you. You'll find it there. I think we have 10 or 9 of them that are available. Here's one of them. Here's what it looks like when it's shipped to you. Big, enormous package.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So don't miss out. I mean,
That's
we got 9 of these to go. And here's what's wrong with it. Look, little hole right in the front there. Okay, that's it. Other than that, it's in perfect shape. So, yeah, go to our eBay store, find it, support All Caps Comics, support Comicsgate. And thanks, Matthew, for having me here. I appreciate you.
We always appreciate you taking the time to slum it with us salty nerds, Ethan. Brian from the Popcast, what's going on with Raw Rant and the Popcast Unleashed and all that good stuff?
Yeah, this Monday at 2:00 on Unleashed, Raw Rant is going to be there. And this week we have on Chris Gore and Zach Silla. I can't pronounce his last name, but Chris Gore and Zach, and we're talking about the stuff you can't do in Hollywood anymore. And it's inspired by his Attack of the Show doc, and that song that he has in it where it says you can't do that no more. And we're going to talk about what you can't do in Hollywood and why it's actually hurting creativity and free speech. And I think it's going to be a good stream. It's probably going to be, it might be a demonetized stream, but it'll be a good stream. 2:00 on Monday. I hope you guys can be there.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts on the topics we talked about today?
No, I'm.
All right.
No, I don't.
Good. All right, Matt Vader 74. Any final thoughts? And what do we got going on with the Salty Nerd this week?
Final thoughts. I'm just going to keep it really simple. Support independent creators. Support Comicsgate. These Comicsgate guys support these YouTube channels out there that we're all out there making content. We don't need no writers. We don't care about what's going on in Hollywood. We do our own things. When most of them make. There's people out there like Ethan and Mahler and Critical Drinker and Gary that all these guys would get bigger ratings than most of the shit that's on TV right now anyway. So it doesn't really matter. So support your independent entertainers. Do it. What do we got going on at the Salty Nerd? Man, I don't know. I forgot to prepare for this. I was so twisted up with Ethan coming on today. I didn't even think about prepping. Yesterday was our we dropped our really fun Nicolas Cage discussion, and where we reviewed Renfield, and we kind of went down the Nicolas Cage rabbit hole about his whole career, the good, the bad, the ugly. He lives here in Vegas with us somewhere in town, and we know some of his haunts. I go stalk them every once in a while to see if I can get a sighting at his favorite sandwich shop every once in a while. Hasn't worked yet, but I'm going to get him in the studio at some point. It's going to happen. What else we got? We got a fun conversation coming out.
Well, on Tuesday for the Saltcast IRL.
Yeah, okay, just take it, Matt. Go ahead and do it.
All right,
you're fine. Go ahead, do whatever you're going to say.
We have Paulie from Latino Slant joining us this Tuesday on our live stream. So we're going to be looking forward to that. We've got our next Salty Nerd podcast is going to be all about why people like horror movies, and we have a really good discussion about that come out. And of course, next Saturday, we've got, I believe, another fantastic special guest joining us, so stay tuned for that. And we also have one final super chat to end things up. £2 from Whiskey Jack, a $30 paper cup. That is a reference to Matt Vader's epic Subway rant members only video. So if you like to watch the stuff that might get us canceled on YouTube,
self banned. I banned myself from Subway.
Exactly.
Madge.
He's taking himself out of the equation. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Be sure to tune in next week. Same salty time, same salty channel. And as always, Stay salty, my friends.